"Congratulations on your marriage," I said, trying to sound polite, but his response was as cutting as ever. "Can you leave quickly after dropping off some cash? It's unpleasant being around someone disabled." I'm a working professional who has been married for a few years. Shortly after my wedding, I was in a car accident that left me unable to use my legs. Ever since, I've relied on a wheelchair to get around, though I attend rehabilitation sessions every week in hopes of recovery. When I first found out I'd be confined to a wheelchair, I was devastated, but my wife, her parents, and my family have been nothing but supportive. Their kindness has kept me positive, even when the rehabilitation process is hard. Thankfully, since I work from home, I've been able to manage life relatively well, despite the circumstances. However, there's one person who has made things difficult: my brother-in-law. Outwardly, he's the picture of a successful, well-liked man. When I first met him at my in-laws' house, I thought he seemed nice, but when he learned I had been in an accident and was now in a wheelchair, his true colors began to show. "The worst part is that my brother-in-law is disabled. Don't make things harder for the family," he said coldly, as though my accident was an inconvenience rather than a tragedy. It was an odd and hurtful thing to say to someone who had just endured such a life-changing event. His attitude only worsened. During a visit to my in-laws, he told me, "Could you not leave the wheelchair here? It's in the way. Leave it outside when you come into the house." I was already exhausted mentally and emotionally, and his comments only made it harder. What made it worse was how he only said these things when we were alone, never in front of my wife or her parents. His behavior was sneaky and deliberately cruel. Despite how much his comments bothered me, I tried to brush them off, thinking maybe he was just struggling with how my disability might affect the family. But his sarcasm and dismissive attitude never stopped, each encounter more draining than the last. Then, he decided to get married, as if life for him would just carry on perfectly. His bride was the daughter of the president of the company where my brother-in-law worked. He had impressed the president enough that the man asked him to marry his daughter. We gave our blessing to the marriage, not because of her status, but because it was his choice. As the wedding preparations progressed, we eventually received the invitation. I marked attending and sent it back, knowing how excited everyone was for this big event. The wedding was held at a famous hotel, and it was an extravagant affair, as expected for the daughter of a company president. The guest list was long, and it was clear a great deal of money had been spent to make it a grand occasion. When we arrived, my wife needed to use the restroom, so I waited in the corner of the ceremony hall, taking in the splendor of the decorations and the bustle of the guests. Suddenly, I heard a familiar voice behind me, my brother-in-law's. "The worst thing you can do is marry an ugly woman," he said, laughing with his friends, "but I'm putting up with it because she's the boss's daughter. Marrying into a rich family? I'm going to be living the high life. I can handle an unattractive wife if it means living happily ever after." I stood there, stunned, listening as my brother-in-law and his friends gossiped about the bride. The cruelty in his words was shocking, and I felt a mix of anger and disbelief. Here he was, talking so casually about the woman he was about to marry, reducing her worth to her looks and her family's wealth. After a while, my brother-in-law left to rejoin the festivities. I returned to my wife, who was glowing with happiness for her brother. I debated telling her what I had overheard but decided against it. She was too thrilled about the wedding, and I couldn't bring myself to shatter her joy, so I remained silent, keeping the cruel words to myself as we headed to the groom's waiting room, where my brother-in-law and the rest of the family were already gathered. When I arrived, I greeted him warmly. "Congratulations on your marriage." "Thank you for coming," he replied with a smile, so polite and charming that it was hard to believe he was the same person I'd overheard gossiping about his bride earlier. "I'd like to speak with him alone," my brother-in-law suddenly said, turning to the others. "You two can go to the waiting room and relax." He led me down an empty hallway, his demeanor shifting the moment we were alone. Once he was sure no one was around, his expression turned cold. "What are you doing here?" he sneered. "Having a handicapped person in my family is disgraceful." His voice was as venomous as when he had spoken about the bride. "Just go home after you've paid your share for the celebration. The bride's family doesn't need a disabled person here, it's inconvenient for them." I was stunned. I had come to congratulate him on his wedding, yet here I was, being insulted and dismissed. His words filled me with anger, but I also couldn't shake the feeling that he might be right. Was my presence, in a wheelchair, truly an inconvenience for everyone? Feeling humiliated, I decided to leave. Just as he suggested, "I'll make an excuse to my sister," I said quietly, My brother-in-law chuckled mockingly as I walked away, his laughter echoing in the empty hall. As I made my way home, my phone rang. It was my wife, her voice filled with panic. "Where are you? I realized you were gone and I got worried." I hesitated but replied, "I'm heading home. I didn't want to cause any trouble." "Who said that to you?" she asked, her voice rising with concern. "Nobody said anything like that. And if anyone does, I'll be the first to stand up for you." Her words brought me so much comfort. She was furious, as if she had been insulted herself. Buoyed by her support, I turned around and headed back to the wedding. When I returned, my wife rushed up to me, relief and love written all over her face. My in-laws were relieved when they saw me return, but my brother-in-law wasn't happy at all. "Why did you come back? I told you disabled people are a burden," he shouted angrily. "People in wheelchairs are garbage. Get out." My wife immediately snapped back, telling him to stop calling me names, but he wouldn't listen. "I've already said people like him aren't welcome here. His presence bothers me," he continued, making cruel comments about me. A guest overheard the argument and approached us, drawing attention from others. Soon, there was a commotion in the ceremony hall. The bride and her father noticed something was wrong and came over. Despite the growing scene, my brother-in-law didn't stop insulting me. I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled out my phone and played a recording for everyone to hear. It was his voice, saying, "The worst thing you can do is marry an ugly woman, but since she's the boss's daughter, I'll put up with it." My brother-in-law turned pale, clearly agitated. "This recording is fake," he stammered, trying to make excuses, but I ignored him and kept playing the audio. The recording continued with him saying, "I'm going to be rich. I can live the high life, even if I have to marry someone unattractive." His face turned bright red as the guests murmured in shock. The audio had captured his conversation with his friends before the ceremony, where they talked without realizing they were being recorded. Realizing he was caught, my brother-in-law tried to lunge at me, but someone else stepped in first, the father of the bride. The bride's father stood in front of my brother-in-law, silently pressuring him to stop. My brother-in-law, desperate, tried to explain, "Mr. President, I'm sorry, but there's more to this. This disabled person is trying to set me up." But the bride's father remained calm and quietly said, "The bride's late mother was born with a disability." The room went silent. My brother-in-law had no more excuses. She had spent her entire life in a wheelchair. The bride's father explained that he wanted to start a business where people with physical disabilities, like his wife, could work comfortably. He made it clear that someone with my brother-in-law's mindset wasn't welcome in his company. Hearing this, my brother-in-law panicked. "It's not my fault, it's all his fault," he stammered, trying to shift the blame onto me. Desperate, he attempted to make peace with the bride's father, but his excuses fell flat. The bride was shocked to discover that her fiancé had only been interested in her for money. However, she remained calm and announced that she would cancel the wedding and end the engagement. In a panic, my brother-in-law tried to approach her, but her father blocked him. The bride and her father apologized to the guests, and the ceremony was officially cancelled. My brother-in-law collapsed to the ground in despair, unable to rise. As the guests left, many gave him and his friends cold, disapproving looks. Offended by his cruel remarks, the bride calmly stated that she would seek compensation for the broken engagement. The wedding and engagement were annulled, and everyone was informed of the true reason behind the cancellation. The bride's father, being a well-respected and powerful figure in the community, fired my brother-in-law from his company. My brother-in-law tried to find work elsewhere, but no one would hire him, fearing the influence of the bride's father. He even reached out to friends for help, but they all distanced themselves from him. With no other options, my brother-in-law eventually left town, working tirelessly to pay off the wedding expenses and compensation in a faraway place. Tragically, he was involved in a car accident that left him disabled, a bitter irony, given how he had mocked people with disabilities. As for me, I was finally able to walk again, thanks to my wife's unwavering support and the hard work I put into rehabilitation. These days, my favorite thing to do is spend weekends shopping with my wife, trying to repay her for all the love and care she gave me during my toughest times. Thank you for reading my story.
I stand in front of the gilded mirror, watching my engagement ring catch the light. 3 carats of pure manipulation wrapped around my finger like a golden shackle. The ballroom behind me buzzes with the chatter of Boston's elite, but all I hear is the clock ticking down to my public execution. Valentina, that's me. the marketing manager who dared to capture the heart of Karen Wellington's precious son. Or so the society papers say. There you are, darling. Ethan's reflection appears beside mine, his hand settling on my waist. Perfect teeth, perfect hair, perfect posture, everything his mother demanded of her golden child. Mother's about to make the toast. She's been planning this moment for weeks. Of course she has. I force my lips into the smile I've practiced 1,000 times. Wouldn't want to disappoint her. The grand ballroom of the Wellington estate stretches before us like a battlefield dressed in crystal and silk. 200 of Boston's finest gathered to celebrate our engagement, or rather to witness Karen's latest power play. Sophie catches my eye from across the room, raising her champagne glass in silent support. At least one person here isn't buying into this charade. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen's voice cuts through the crowd like a diamond through glass. She stands at the center of the room, commanding attention in her Valentino dress that probably costs more than my yearly salary. We're gathered here today to celebrate not just an engagement, but a merger of families. The crowd titters. Marcus, Ethan's father, smirks from his position beside his wife. I feel Ethan's hand tighten on my waist. When Ethan first mentioned he was dating someone from marketing, Karen continues, her pause calculated for maximum effect, I must admit, I was concerned. After all, the Wellington name carries certain expectations. My chest tightens. This isn't going where I thought it would. But then I realized, perhaps this is exactly what our family needs. Someone to handle our public image. She smiles, all teeth and no warmth. Though I do hope, Valentina dear, that you'll consider pursuing something more befitting your new position. Perhaps as a full-time mother. The Wellington legacy must continue after all. The room erupts in polite laughter. I feel the heat rising in my cheeks, but I keep my smile frozen in place. Years of practice hiding my emotions from difficult clients finally paying off. And of course, Karen adds, lifting her glass higher, we've already arranged for Ethan to take over as CEO of our East Coast operations. Can't have our future daughter-in-law out-earning her husband, can we? More laughter. Ethan's hand drops from my waist. He's not even looking at me anymore. To the happy couple, Karen concludes, her voice dripping with false sweetness. May they understand their proper places in this family. The crowd raises their glasses. I catch Sophie's expression, pure fury on my behalf. But it's Daniel, Ethan's younger brother, whose reaction interests me most. He's watching his mother with an expression I've never seen before. Calculated hatred. Darling, Ethan whispers, finally noticing my rigid posture. Mother means well. She's just traditional. Traditional? Like the way she systematically destroyed my father's construction company last year. Like the mysterious circumstances surrounding my mother's death 15 years ago. A death that I'm beginning to suspect has Wellington fingerprints all over it. I raise my glass, meeting Karen's triumphant gaze across the room. Thank you, Mother Wellington, I say, my voice carrying clearly, for making everything so crystal clear. She doesn't catch the edge in my voice, but Sophie does. So does Daniel. They're the only ones who see my smile shift from practiced politeness to something harder, colder. Karen Wellington just handed me the perfect weapon, her own arrogance. She thinks she's putting me in my place, but all she's done is show me exactly where to strike. I take a sip of champagne, already plotting. This engagement party isn't an end, it's a beginning. And Karen has no idea what she just started. The morning after the engagement party, I sit across from my father at our usual diner, pushing eggs around my plate while he reads the society page coverage of my humiliation. His knuckles whiten around the newspaper edges. I always knew Karen Wellington was cruel, he says finally, but to do this so publicly. Did you know them? Before? The question slips out before I can stop it. I've never asked about his connection to the Wellingtons, despite suspecting there's more to the story than he's told me. He sets down the paper, and for a moment, I see something flash across his face. Fear, maybe, or anger, but it's gone before I can be sure. Boston's a small world when you're in real estate development. The bell above the diner door chimes. Ethan walks in, spotting us immediately. Perfect timing, as always. My father's expression closes off like a vault. "There's my beautiful fiancé," Ethan announces, sliding into the booth beside me. He kisses my cheek, all performance. "And future father-in-law. I hope you enjoyed last night's celebration." My father's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Quite the speech your mother gave. Mother can be traditional." Ethan's hand finds mine under the table, squeezing too tight. "But she means well. Actually, that's why I'm here. She'd like to have lunch with you today, Valentina, to smooth things over." I extract my hand from his grip. "I have meetings all day." "I've already cleared your schedule with your supervisor." His smile doesn't waver. Mother's very persuasive when she wants something. The implications sink in. Karen's reach extends into my workplace now. I meet my father's gaze across the table, seeing my own alarm reflected there. "You know what?" I stand abruptly. "I need some air. Excuse me." Outside, the autumn air bites at my skin. I hear footsteps behind me. Ethan, of course, always following his mother's script. "You're being difficult," he says, catching my arm. "Mother's trying to make amends." I turn to face him. "Like she made amends with the Harrison family." He flinches. "The Harrison family, their development company, went bankrupt last year after dealing with Wellington Enterprises. I discovered the connection during my background research on Karen." "That was business," he says carefully. "This is family." "Is there a difference in your mother's world?" His phone buzzes. Karen's special ringtone. He answers immediately, turning away from me. "Yes, Mother. No, she's being difficult. I understand. Yes, I'll handle it." Handle it. Like I'm a problem to be managed. When he faces me again, his expression has hardened. "The lunch isn't optional, Valentina. Either you show up willingly, or Mother will make things very uncomfortable for you at work." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm protecting you." He steps closer, lowering his voice. "You don't know what Mother's capable of when she's crossed." "But I do know. I've spent months piecing together the trail of destroyed careers and broken lives left in Karen Wellington's wake, including, I suspect, my mother's death, though I can't prove it yet." "Fine," I say, forcing a smile. "Tell your mother I'll be there." Relief floods his face. He kisses my forehead, missing how I stiffen at his touch. "That's my girl. I'll have the car pick you up at noon." I watch him leave, then pull out my phone to text Sophie. "Need your help. Lunch with the devil today. Time to start phase 2. Her reply comes instantly. "Already on it." Daniel reached out, says he has information we need. I glance back through the diner window. My father sits alone now, staring at his coffee like it holds answers. He looks older suddenly, weighted down by secrets I'm only beginning to understand. My phone buzzes again. Sophie sending an address. A meeting point with Daniel, away from his family's watching eyes. If he's really willing to turn against his mother, it could change everything. I straighten my spine, checking my reflection in a nearby window. The woman staring back at me isn't the same one who endured last night's humiliation. She's harder now, sharper at the edges. Karen wants to have lunch? Fine. I'll sit across from her, play the dutiful future daughter-in-law. But while she's busy trying to put me in my place, she won't notice me learning all her weaknesses. After all, she taught me herself. The best attacks come disguised as submission. The private dining room at Leblanc feels like a trap, all crystal and white tablecloths. Karen sits across from me, perfectly composed, while Marcus hovers near the window, phone pressed to his ear. Their voices drift around me, discussing business as if I'm not here. "The Harrison portfolio," Marcus says into his phone. "Yes, all of it. Transfer everything by Monday." My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. The Harrison portfolio, my father's former business partner. The same company Karen destroyed last year. "More wine, dear." Karen's voice drips honey. She's watching me, always watching. "No, thank you." I set down my fork. "Actually, I'm curious about something. The Harrisons, wasn't their daughter in my class at Boston Prep?" Karen's smile tightens. "Perhaps, though they've relocated since their unfortunate business decisions. Marcus ends his call, joining us at the table. Speaking of business, Valentina, we have a proposition for you. We've been discussing your role in the company, Karen adds. Post-wedding, of course. I feel my phone vibrate, probably Sophie waiting nearby with Daniel. But I can't check it now, not when I'm finally getting close to something real. What kind of role? A ceremonial one? Karen says smoothly. You'll need to resign from your current position naturally. Can't have our daughter-in-law working under others. And my father's remaining contracts? Marcus sets down his wine glass too hard. Karen's hand touches his arm. A warning. Your father's business dealings are his concern, she says. Though we could assist if you're amenable to our terms. The pieces click together. They're not just trying to control me, they're using me to get to my father's remaining assets. The same way they used the Harrison's daughter to... The door opens. Ethan walks in, followed by a familiar face that stops my heart. James Harrison. My former classmate's father, looking nothing like the confident businessman I remember. Sorry I'm late, Ethan announces. James had some paperwork to finish. James won't meet my eyes. His hands shake as he sets a folder on the table. Perfect timing, Karen says. Valentina, dear, we need you to sign as a witness. Just a small matter regarding some property transfers. I open the folder. Inside, I find documents transferring my father's remaining development rights to Wellington Enterprises. They've forged his signature, perfectly, professionally. But it needs a witness to be legal. They want me to be that witness. James? My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Are you okay? Just sign it, Valentina, Ethan says quietly. Please. But I'm watching James. The defeat in his posture, the fear when he glances at Karen. This is how they do it. How they've always done it. Using family against family, forcing people to destroy themselves. I stand up slowly. I need to use the restroom. Sit down, Marcus snaps, but Karen raises a hand. Let her go. She needs time to understand what's best for everyone. In the hallway, I finally check my phone. 3 messages from Sophie. Daniel found the files. It's worse than we thought. Your mother's accident. It wasn't an accident. My hands shake as I type. Get everything to my father. Now. When I return to the dining room, they're waiting exactly as I left them. Like predators, patient and confident. Ready to sign? Karen asks. I pick up the pen, studying its weight. 15 years ago, my mother died in a car accident after discovering something about Wellington Enterprises. Now I'm sitting across from the people responsible, watching them try to destroy another family. Actually, I say, I have a counter-proposal. I pull out my phone, opening the recording app that's been running since I entered the restaurant. Karen's eyes narrow as she realizes what I'm holding. You really should be more careful discussing illegal property transfers in public spaces, I say, especially when threatening people into compliance. Marcus stands abruptly. Ethan reaches for my arm, but I step back. You have no idea what you're doing, Karen says, her mask finally cracking. No, I reply. I think for the first time, I know exactly what I'm doing. I turn to James. The Harrisons send their regards and their evidence. The colour drains from Karen's face. In this moment, watching her perfect world begin to crack, I finally understand. Revenge isn't just about destroying your enemies. It's about saving yourself. Sophie's apartment feels like the last safe place in Boston. We sit surrounded by papers and laptops, piecing together the puzzle of Wellington Enterprises' corruption. Daniel paces by the window, his shadow cutting through the afternoon light. They killed her, I say, staring at the accident report from 15 years ago. My mother wasn't investigating real estate fraud. She found evidence of money laundering. Daniel stops pacing. The offshore accounts. That's why they're so desperate to get control of your father's company now. They need a legitimate business to... A knock at the door silences us. Sophie checks the security camera and tenses. It's Ethan. My engagement ring feels like it's burning my finger. Let him in. Ethan enters, his usual polish cracked around the edges. His eyes land on Daniel first, then the scattered documents. So this is where you've been hiding, brother. Not hiding, Daniel says. Just finally choosing a side. Ethan runs a hand through his hair. A gesture so like his father's, it makes my skin crawl. Val, we need to talk. Alone. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of them. He moves closer, lowering his voice anyway. Mother knows about the recording. She's prepared to make things very difficult for your father if you don't hand it over. More difficult than destroying his business? Or having his wife killed? Ethan flinches. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stand, forcing him to step back. Your mother didn't just kill my mother. She's been systematically destroying families for years. The Harrisons were just the latest. Everything she did was to protect our family. Was it protection when she arranged Daniel's girlfriend's deportation last year? Daniel's sharp intake of breath tells me he didn't know I'd discovered that particular secret. Ethan's face goes pale. That was business, he says weakly. It's all business with your family, isn't it? I move to the window where a manila envelope sits ready. Which is why you'll understand what I have to do next. I hand him the envelope. He opens it, scanning the contents with growing horror. These are copies of everything, I tell him. Bank records, falsified documents, witness statements about my mother's accident. The originals are already with the FBI. You're bluffing. Check your phone. As if on cue, his phone buzzes. He reads the message, colour draining from his face. Mother's being questioned by federal agents, along with your father and half the board. I twist the engagement ring off my finger. Consider this my resignation from the Wellington family. He grabs my arm. You don't want to do this. We can still fix things. Like you fixed things for the Harrisons? Daniel steps forward. Or my girlfriend? Or Valentina's mother? I didn't know. Ethan's grip tightens. About any of it, I swear. But you suspected, I say quietly. And you chose to look away. Sophie moves between us, forcing Ethan to release me. I think you should leave. He backs toward the door, desperation replacing his usual confidence. Val, please. Whatever Mother did, I'm not her. No, I agree. You're worse. She at least owns what she is. After he's gone, Daniel turns to me. You really sent everything to the FBI? Not yet. I pick up my phone. But Karen doesn't know that. Right now, she's probably destroying evidence we haven't even found yet. Sophie grins. And security cameras are recording every minute of it. We have 48 hours before she realizes the FBI isn't actually investigating, I say. That's how long we have to find what she's trying to hide. Daniel pulls out his own phone. I can get us into the office tonight. Security still trusts me. I look at the accident report on the table at my mother's name in cold black type. Karen thought she could bury the truth under years of manipulation and fear. She didn't count on her victims finding each other. Tonight, then, I say, picking up the engagement ring. One last performance as the future Mrs. Wellington. The ring catches the light as I slip it back on, no longer a shackle but a key. Karen taught me well, the best attacks come disguised as submission, and I'm about to become her star pupil. Wellington Enterprises' 40th floor boardroom feels like a glass cage at midnight. Daniel works at Karen's computer while I rifle through Marcus's files, both of us racing against dawn. Sophie monitors the security feeds from her laptop, our only warning system if someone arrives. Found something, Daniel says, his voice tight. A series of transfers to a shell company called Meridian Holdings. Started the week before your mother's accident. My hands shake as I photograph the documents. Same company that bought out the Harrisons? And 6 other families in the past decade. He clicks through more files. All competitors or threats to Wellington's expansion. Sophie's voice crackles through our earpieces. Movement in the lobby. Security's doing their rounds early. I grab the last folder, but something falls out. A photograph. My mother, sitting at this very table, 15 years younger. The date stamp matches the week before her death. The elevator dings. Someone's coming up, Sophie warns. Not security, executive override code. Daniel closes the computer. We need to go. Wait. I flip the photo over. There's writing on the back, meeting with Catherine Mills, Project Phoenix discussion. Val, now. Daniel grabs my arm. The elevator's at 38, 39. We slip into the executive washroom just as the doors open. Through the crack, I see Karen stride in, still wearing her dinner clothes. Marcus follows, looking haunted. The files have to be here, Karen says. That little bitch knows something. If she had proof, we'd be arrested already. Marcus paces, another habit Ethan inherited. Maybe we should consider her offer. To step down quietly? Karen laughs. The moment we lose control, everything unravels. The offshore accounts, Phoenix, all of it. My phone vibrates. Sophie texting that security's heading up too. We're trapped. What about Ethan? Marcus asks. He's still loyal. For now, but he's weak like his brother. One push from that girl and he'll crumble. I feel Daniel tense beside me. The security elevator pings. Mrs. Wellington? A guard's voice. Sorry to disturb you, but we detected unauthorized access to this floor. Karen's heels click closer to our hiding spot. Check everything. If anyone's here, I want them found. My heart pounds so loud I'm sure they'll hear it. Daniel's hand finds mine in the dark, squeezing once. A signal. He bursts out of the bathroom, startling everyone. Mother! Father! What are you doing here? Daniel? Karen recovers quickly. We could ask you the same thing. Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd get some work done. He moves toward the elevator, drawing their attention. Though clearly this is a bad time. I slip out while they're distracted, staying low behind the desks, almost to the second elevator. Check the bathroom, Karen orders the guard. I freeze. If they find evidence someone else was here, Daniel's cover is blown. So I do the one thing they won't expect. I stand up. Looking for me, Mother Wellington? Karen whirls around. For a split second, real fear crosses her face. She's seeing my mother's ghost in the darkness. What is this? Marcus demands. I hold up the photograph. Project Phoenix. That's what my mother discovered, isn't it? Before her convenient accident. Val, Daniel warns, but I'm done hiding. She was going to expose you. I step closer to Karen. Just like the Harrisons tried to. Like all the others you destroyed. Karen's composure returns. Careful, dear. Wild accusations can be dangerous. So can evidence. I reach for my phone, but it's not in my pocket. Karen holds it up, smiling. Looking for this. You really should be more careful where you leave your things. At the dinner party, for instance. My blood runs cold. She's known all along. Security, she says smoothly. Please escort my future daughter-in-law out. And Daniel? Her voice hardens. We'll discuss your involvement later. As the guards lead me to the elevator, Karen calls out, Oh, and Valentina. Do give your father my regards. Such a shame about his new development project falling through tomorrow. The doors close on her triumphant smile. In my earpiece, Sophie whispers, Val, what do we do now? I watch the floor numbers descend, each one bringing me closer to a decision. Karen thinks she's won, that she's beaten me the same way she beat my mother. But she forgot something crucial. My mother fought alone. I touch my engagement ring, where I hid the real memory card. Tell Lily to release the first batch of documents to the press. It's time everyone learned about Project Phoenix. The game isn't over. It's just getting started. The Wellington Enterprises annual gala feels like a funeral dressed in designer clothes. News of Project Phoenix has been spreading through Boston's business circles for 3 days, and I can see the whispers following Karen across the ballroom. But she's still smiling, still commanding the room like nothing's wrong. I adjust my black evening gown, the one Ethan's parents bought me, their perfect puppet daughter-in-law. Sophie's voice comes through my earpiece. FBI's reviewing the evidence. They'll move within hours. But hours might be too late. I watch Daniel weave through the crowd, pale and shaken. He reaches me just as Karen takes the stage. She knows, he whispers, about everything. The evidence, the FBI, all of it. Distinguished guests, Karen's voice fills the room. Before we begin tonight's festivities, I have an announcement. My phone buzzes, a text from my father. They're seizing the company. All assets frozen. Our family has always valued transparency, Karen continues, her eyes finding mine in the crowd, which is why I must address the recent rumors about Project Phoenix. The room goes silent. Even the servers stop moving. Project Phoenix was indeed a restructuring initiative, she says smoothly, one that unfortunately required difficult decisions about certain struggling companies, including Mills Construction. My father's company. My mother's legacy. What we didn't know, Karen's voice hardens, was that Catherine Mills had been embezzling funds for years, putting not just her company but dozens of families at risk. The blood drains from my face. She's rewriting history, turning my mother into the villain. Thankfully, her daughter's recent actions helped us uncover the full scope of her crimes. Karen's smile is razor-sharp. Valentina, dear, would you join me? All eyes turn to me. It's a trap, but refusing would only confirm her lies. I walk to the stage, each step feeling like I'm walking to my execution. Karen embraces me, whispering in my ear, "Check your phone." A new message appears, security footage from 15 years ago. My mother arguing with someone in her office, taking documents, getting into her car. "We tried to protect you from the truth," Karen says, loud enough for everyone to hear. "About the accident, about what your mother was running from that night." The room spins. This can't be real. But now, Karen continues, Valentina has graciously agreed to help us make things right. Haven't you, dear? She's orchestrated everything perfectly. If I expose her now, she'll destroy my mother's reputation forever. If I play along, everything we've worked for disappears. Actually, I start, but Ethan suddenly appears beside me. "Mother," he says, "I think it's time we showed everyone the real Project Phoenix files." Karen's grip on my arm tightens. "Ethan, don't..." "The ones showing how you and father orchestrated Catherine Mills' accident." He turns to the crowd. "The same way you tried to arrange one for Valentina last night." Gasps ripple through the room. Marcus steps forward, but Daniel blocks his path. "Security!" Karen snaps. "Remove them!" "Federal agents!" The ballroom doors burst open. "Everyone stay where you are!" In the chaos that follows, I see Karen's mask finally crack. But it's not the FBI she's staring at. It's Ethan. "You chose her," she says, disbelief coloring her voice. "Over family?" "No, Mother." Ethan takes my hand. "I chose justice. Something you taught me about, remember?" As the agents approach, Karen turns to me one last time. "You think this is victory? You've destroyed everything. Your mother's legacy, your future, this family." "No," I say quietly. "You did that 15 years ago. I'm just finishing what my mother started." They lead Karen and Marcus away, but I feel no triumph, just emptiness and questions that may never have answers. Later, in the quiet of the emptying ballroom, Ethan finds me staring at my mother's old photograph. "The security footage," he says. "It was doctored. We found the original in Father's private safe." "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I needed Mother to believe she'd won." He touches my shoulder, "Just like you taught me." I look at him, really look at him, and see something I've missed before, the cost of revenge written in the shadows under his eyes. "What happens now?" I ask. He doesn't answer. Some questions don't have easy answers, and some victories feel more like wounds that may never heal. The holding cell at Boston Police Department feels smaller than my childhood closet. Karen sits across from me, still elegant despite the orange jumpsuit. No makeup, no designer clothes, but somehow she looks more dangerous than ever. "You know why I'm here," I say. "To gloat?" Her smile hasn't changed. "How disappointing. I thought I taught you better than that." "You taught me plenty." I place my mother's photograph on the metal table between us. "Like how to arrange an accident that looks natural." She doesn't even glance at the photo. "Your mother made her choices, just like you've made yours." Did she choose to discover Project Phoenix, or did you choose to silence her? Project Phoenix saved this family. Karen leans forward. "Everything I did was to protect what we built. Something you'll never understand. The door opens. Daniel enters carrying a thick folder. Karen's composure cracks for just a moment. "Hello, Mother," he says quietly. "The FBI has some interesting questions about Maria." Karen goes very still. "Who?" "My girlfriend, the one you had deported." Daniel sits beside me. "Turns out her immigration papers were perfect until someone falsified evidence of fraud. Someone with access to Wellington Enterprise resources." "You always were too soft," Karen says. "Like your father." "No," Daniel replies. "I was just waiting. Like Valentina." I open the folder, spreading out documents. Bank statements, emails, death certificates. A pattern of destruction spanning decades. 15 families, I say. Not just my mother, not just the Harrisons. 15 lives you destroyed to build your empire. "I built something lasting." Karen's voice hardens. "What have you built except revenge?" "Justice." I push forward one final document. "This is a confession, detailing everything. Sign it, and we ensure Ethan stays out of the investigation." Her eyes narrow. "You'd use my son against me? Now who's becoming like me?" "The difference is, I'm giving you a choice. More than you gave any of your victims." The silence stretches. Through the observation window, I sense Ethan watching, though I haven't looked at him since he chose sides at the gala. "You know what your mother said that night?" Karen asks suddenly. "She said she felt sorry for my children, that no amount of money could make up for having me as a mother." She laughs, bitter and sharp. "And now here you are, proving her right. Sign the confession." "Or what? You'll tell everyone what I am?" She gestures around the cell. "They already know. The mighty Karen Wellington, exposed and ruined. But tell me, Valentina, what are you, now that your revenge is complete?" I stand, gathering the documents. "Sign or don't sign, either way you've lost." "Have I?" Her smile returns. "Look in the mirror, dear. You've become exactly what you hated. Calculating, ruthless, willing to sacrifice anything for your goals. I may have lost my empire, but I've created my greatest legacy. You." The truth of her words hits like a physical blow. I see myself reflected in the observation window, poised, controlled, every bit the person Karen trained me to be. "You're wrong," Daniel says, but I touch his arm. "No, she's right." I turn back to Karen. "You did shape me. You taught me how to play this game, but you forgot something crucial." "And what's that?" "My mother taught me something too." I reach for the door. "She taught me when to walk away." "That's it?" Karen calls after me. "All this plotting and you're just leaving?" "The confession is for the FBI now. Your fate is out of my hands." I pause at the threshold. "That's the difference between us, Karen. You needed to control everything. I just needed the truth." In the hallway, Ethan waits. He looks like he wants to speak, but no words come. "I'm sorry," I say, and mean it, for all of it. He nods, understanding what I can't say, that some victories cost too much, that some bridges can't be rebuilt. Behind me, I hear Karen calling for her lawyer. Always fighting, always controlling, until the very end. But her voice fades as I walk away, replaced by a memory of my mother's laugh, bright and free and finally at peace. Some revenge isn't about destruction at all. Sometimes it's about choosing to be something different than what they tried to make you. My mother's headstone looks different in the morning light. I've always visited at sunset, when shadows make everything feel heavier. But today, as I place fresh flowers beside her name, the marble gleams almost hopefully. "I thought I'd find you here." My father's voice steady and familiar. He sits beside me on the cool grass, his tie loosened from another day of rebuilding our company from the ashes of Wellington Enterprises. "The verdict came in," I say. He nods. 20 years for Karen, 15 for Marcus. "And the restitution payments to the families?" "Being processed. The Harrisons got their company back this morning." He pauses. "Daniel's doing good work, restructuring everything." The mention of Daniel brings thoughts of Ethan, but I push them away. Some bridges stay burned. "There's something else," my father says, pulling out an envelope. They found this in Karen's private safe. It's addressed to you. The paper feels heavy in my hands. Inside, I find a photograph I've never seen before. My mother and Karen, both young, both smiling, standing in front of Mill's construction. They were friends, my father says quietly, before everything. Karen was different then. Ambitious but not cruel. Your mother saw the changes happening, tried to help her. He trails off. Until Karen chose power over friendship. Until she forgot who she was. I study the photograph. These two women frozen in time before tragedy rewrote everything. Did you know? All these years? I suspected, but proving it meant risking losing you too. His hand finds mine. I couldn't take that chance. A text from Sophie lights up my phone. Board meeting in an hour. Ready? Go, my father says. Your mother would be proud of what you've built from all this. The Wellington building looks different now. Its imposing facade somehow less threatening. In the lobby, Lily greets me with coffee and updates about the transition. The elevator feels lighter as it carries me to the top floor. The boardroom is full when I enter. Daniel sits at the head of the table, no longer the uncertain younger son, but a leader in his own right. The other board members, mostly new faces, untainted by Karen's influence, nod in greeting. Before we begin, Daniel says, I want to address the elephant in the room. Yes, this company was built on corruption. Yes, we're related to the people who caused immeasurable harm. But today, we start making it right. He gestures to the presentation screen where a new company name glows. Phoenix Mills Group. My breath catches. Daniel continues. A joint venture between what's left of Wellington Enterprises and the restored Mills construction. A chance to rebuild what was broken. The boardroom door opens. Ethan steps in, carrying architectural plans. Our eyes meet briefly, not with romance or regret, but with understanding. We're different people now, shaped by choices we can't undo. The first project, Ethan says, spreading the plans on the table, is a community development center, built on the land where Project Phoenix originally started. I study the plans, seeing echoes of both our mothers in the design. Strength and beauty, ambition and compassion balanced in glass and steel. There's one more thing, Daniel adds. He slides a folder toward me. We found evidence that Karen wasn't working alone 15 years ago. There were other board members involved in covering up what happened to your mother. My hand hovers over the folder. Inside lies more secrets, more corruption, more fuel for revenge. But I think of Karen in her prison cell, of how revenge consumed her long before it touched me, of how easy it would be to continue this cycle of destruction. I push the folder back. Send it to the FBI. Let justice handle it this time. Daniel nods, understanding. Ethan's shoulders relax slightly. Around the table, the board members exchange glances, respect, perhaps, or relief. The morning sun streams through the windows, catching on my engagement ring. I twist it off, placing it on the table, not as a gesture of defeat or victory, but as a choice to be something different than what pain made me. Now, I say, turning to the plans, let's build something lasting. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying what hurt you. It's about creating something better from the ruins they left behind.
I stand at the edge of my own wedding reception, watching my new mother-in-law tap her crystal champagne glass. The sound pierces through the murmur of conversation, and my stomach knots. Something in Vivian's eyes makes me want to grab Ryan's hand and run. My name is Arya, and this should be the happiest day of my life. Ladies and gentlemen, Vivian's voice carries across the garden with practiced elegance. I'd like to propose a toast to the interesting couple before us today. She pauses, her smile sharp as a blade. When Ryan first brought Arya home, I must admit I was surprised. After all, we had such different expectations for him. The crowd shifts uncomfortably. Ryan's hand tightens around mine, but he says nothing. Always says nothing when it comes to his mother. But here we are, Vivian continues, her gaze fixed on me. Ryan, darling, you've always had a charitable heart, taking in strays, helping the less fortunate. Remember that mangy cat you insisted on keeping when you were 12? She laughs, and a few nervous chuckles follow. I suppose some habits never change. My cheeks burn. The pearl necklace Ryan gave me this morning feels like it's choking me. I catch my sister Sophie's eye across the room. She's half rising from her chair, fury written across her face. To the happy couple, Vivian raises her glass. May Ryan's generosity continue to lift up those who weren't blessed with the advantages he's enjoyed. And Arya, dear, she turns that razor smile on me again. Do try to remember where you came from and where you are now, Petita. The silence that follows is deafening. My father, Thomas, is gripping his chair so hard his knuckles have gone white. My mother, Linda, has tears in her eyes, not the happy ones she had during the ceremony. Ryan finally speaks. Mother, that's enough. But his voice is weak, uncertain. Oh, darling, I'm only teasing. Vivian waves him off. Surely Arya can take a joke. After all, she'll need a thick skin to survive in our world, won't she? I feel the eyes of 200 guests burning into me. The country club members, the business associates, Ryan's extended family, all watching to see how the girl from the wrong side of town will react to being publicly gutted. Actually, I hear myself say, standing up, my voice is steady, surprising even me. I'd like to thank Vivian for that illuminating toast. I raise my own glass. You've made things very clear. Vivian's smile falters for just a moment. She wasn't expecting me to speak. To new beginnings, I continue, and to finally understanding exactly where I stand. I drain my champagne in one go, setting the glass down with perhaps more force than necessary. The rest of the reception passes in a blur of forced smiles and whispered conversations that stop when I walk by. Ryan keeps apologizing, but his words feel hollow. He doesn't understand that his silence during his mother's speech said more than any apology could. Later, as we're leaving for our honeymoon, I catch Vivian speaking to Derek, her business partner. It's nothing personal, she's saying, but someone had to put her in her place before she got too comfortable. I slip into the car, my wedding dress rustling against the leather seats. Ryan starts the engine, already launching into another apology about his mother's behavior. But I'm not listening. Instead, I'm thinking about the look in Vivian's eyes during that toast, that mix of contempt and satisfaction. She thinks she's won, thinks she's shown everyone exactly who I am and where I belong. But she's wrong. That toast didn't break me. It awakened something. As we drive away from the reception, I'm already planning. Vivian wanted to show everyone who I am. Fine, I'll show her exactly who I can become. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of hers. The honeymoon glow lasted exactly 3 weeks. That's when the first oversight happened. My name mysteriously missing from the guest list at the Hamilton family's annual charity gala. It must have been a clerical error, Ryan says, adjusting his bow tie in our bedroom mirror. Mother's assistant is new. I watch him from the bed, still in my bathrobe, like the clerical error that left me off the country club membership application, or the one that forgot to include me in the family portrait session. He doesn't meet my eyes in the reflection. I'll talk to her about it. Don't bother. I stand up, letting my wedding ring catch the light. We both know Vivian's assistant doesn't make mistakes. The door closes behind him with a soft click. Through the window, I watch him pull out of our driveway in his Mercedes, a wedding gift from his mother. Another reminder of where I stand in the hierarchy of Vivian's world. My phone buzzes. It's Sophie. Mom and Dad want you over for dinner tonight. At my parents' modest house, the tension is thick enough to cut. Dad's pacing the kitchen, while Mom serves her signature lasagna, comfort food for uncomfortable conversations. She's isolating you, Dad says, his fork stabbing the pasta. First the wedding toast, now this. It's a pattern, Arya. Thomas, Mom warns, but her eyes are worried. What? We're all thinking it. That woman's trying to push our daughter out of her son's life, piece by piece. I push my food around the plate. Ryan says he'll handle it. Sophie snorts, like he handled the toast or the country club thing. She leans forward. You know what Derek told me at the coffee shop yesterday? I look up. You talked to Derek? He didn't know who I was, but he was meeting someone, talking about how Vivian's planning to protect the family interests by having Ryan sign some new trust agreement, something about limiting spouse access. The lasagna turns to ash in my mouth. Dad's face darkens, but before he can speak, my phone chimes. It's a group text from Vivian to the family. Reminder, Margaret's 75th birthday dinner this Saturday. Black tie. Private room at LeBlanc. Family only. A second later, another message. Ryan, darling, please come early to help with arrangements. No mention of me. Not even a pretense this time. That's it. Sophie stands up. You need to fight back. And do what? I push my plate away. Throw a fit? Prove her right about the classless girl who married above her station. No, Sophie's eyes gleam. You need to beat her at her own game. You're smart, Arya. Smarter than she thinks. Use that. Later that night, I return home to find Ryan in his study. Papers spread across his desk. He looks up, guilty. Hey, I was just going through some family business stuff. I lean against the door frame. The new trust agreement. He freezes. How did you? Does it matter? I walk over, picking up one of the documents. Were you going to tell me before or after you signed away my access to our shared future? It's not like that, he starts, but I cut him off. Then what is it like, Ryan? Explain it to me. Explain how your mother's systematic campaign to erase me from your life is not like that. He stands, runs a hand through his hair. You don't understand the pressure she's under, the family name, the business. You're right, I say quietly. I don't understand. I don't understand how my husband can watch his mother destroy his marriage and do nothing. I turn to leave, but his voice stops me. Where are you going? To get ready for Margaret's birthday dinner. But Mother said, I know what she said. I look back at him, and I'm done listening. In our bedroom, I open my laptop and start searching. Vivian thinks she can write me out of this family story. Fine, but two can play at that game. Sophie's right. I'm smarter than Vivian thinks. And if she wants to protect family interests so badly, maybe it's time I took a closer look at exactly what those interests are, starting with why Derek's been making monthly visits to offshore banks. Margaret's birthday dinner becomes a battlefield. The moment I walk into LeBlanc, Vivian's fez freezes mid-laugh, her champagne glass suspended in the air. The private dining room falls silent. Darling, she recovers quickly. I believe there's been a misunderstanding about the guest list. I smile, channeling her own razor-sharp sweetness. No misunderstanding. I'm exactly where I should be. Margaret rises from her seat, her arthritis-twisted hands gripping her walker. Vivian, stop this nonsense. Arya is family now. Something flickers across Vivian's face. Pain, maybe fear. It's gone before I can be sure. Ryan pulls out my chair, but his hands are shaking. The tension crackling through the room makes the crystal chandelier seem ready to shatter. Actually, Margaret continues, settling back into her seat. This reminds me of another family dinner years ago, when you first brought Charles home, Vivian. Vivian's knuckles whiten around her glass. Mother, please. Your father's family treated you horribly, Margaret says, her voice carrying despite its age. Called you a gold digger, said you weren't good enough, remember? The revelation hits me like a physical blow. I look at Vivian, really look at her, and for a moment, I see something else behind the perfect makeup and designer dress, a shadow of another woman who once sat where I'm sitting. That was different, Vivian snaps. Was it? Margaret's eyes are sharp. You worked as a waitress. Charles came from old money. His mother tried everything to drive you away. Derek clears his throat uncomfortably. Perhaps this isn't the time. It's exactly the time, Margaret cuts him off. Because I watched my daughter transform herself into exactly the kind of woman who once tried to destroy her. The waiter arrives with the first course, his professional smile faltering at the tension. Nobody touches their plates. I protected this family, Vivian says quietly, dangerously. Everything I've done, every sacrifice. Like the sacrifice of sending Charles's family those photos. Margaret's words land like bombs. The ones that ruined his father's political career. Ryan's head snaps up. What photos? Ancient history. Vivian stands abruptly and completely irrelevant. But I see it now. The blueprint of her success, the foundation of her power. She didn't just marry into this world. She conquered it, destroyed those who stood in her way. You're right, Mother. Vivian's voice has gone cold. I learned from the best, from those who tried to destroy me. And I learned well. She turns to me. So believe me when I say, you have no idea what you're dealing with. Actually, I pull out my phone, opening the offshore banking records I'd discovered. I think I do. The color drains from Derek's face. Vivian goes very still. Monthly transfers to the Cayman Islands. I continue. Strange patterns in the company's charitable donations. It's amazing what you can find when people think you're too stupid to look. You're making dangerous accusations, Derek warns. No, I correct him. I'm making observations. The accusations will come from the IRS if these records end up on their desk. Ryan stands up looking lost. What's going on, Mother? Nothing, Vivian says sharply. Your wife is trying to cause trouble, like always. Like you caused trouble for Charles's family? I press. Is that why he left? Because he discovered what you really are. The slap echoes through the room. My cheek burns where Vivian's hand connected, but I don't flinch. Mother, Ryan shouts, finally finding his voice. Margaret's quiet voice cuts through the chaos. You've become everything you once hated, Vivian. Vivian grabs her purse, her perfect composure cracking. This dinner is over. Derek, my office, first thing tomorrow. She pauses at the door, looking back at me. You want to play this game? Fine, but remember, I've been playing it longer. After she leaves, Ryan turns to me, his face a storm of confusion and anger. What have you done? What you wouldn't, I answer. I fought back. Margaret reaches across the table, her wrinkled hand covering mine. Be careful, dear. Revenge has a way of changing people. I should know. I watched it change my daughter. I looked down at the banking records on my phone, then at the door where Vivian disappeared. The woman who crawled her way up from nothing, who destroyed her enemies, who became the very monster she once fought. Is that what I'm becoming too? The suitcase lies open on our bed, half packed with whatever I could grab in 10 minutes. Ryan stands in the doorway, his face a mask I no longer recognize. So that's it? His voice is flat. You're running away? I fold another shirt, focusing on the crisp edges. Running implies fear. I'm choosing to leave. Because of what happened at grandmother's dinner, Mother apologized. No, I correct him. She sent a formal note through her secretary, expressing regret for any perceived impropriety. That's not an apology, that's damage control. The bedroom feels smaller than usual, like the walls are closing in. Through the window, I can see Vivian's car pulling up our driveway, right on schedule. She's here to explain everything, Ryan says, about the offshore accounts, about Charles. Like she explained about the trust agreement you were going to sign? I zip the suitcase closed. Or about how she's been systematically pushing me out of your life. A knock downstairs. Ryan doesn't move to answer it. You're becoming just like her, he says quietly. The words hit harder than Vivian's slap ever did. I turn to face him fully. What? The investigating, the threats, the ultimatums. You're fighting her by becoming her. Before I can respond, Sophie appears in the doorway, slightly out of breath. Don't go anywhere. You need to see this. She pulls out her phone, pulling up an email. Remember how I said I'd look into Charles? Well, I found something big. The document on her screen is old, but clear enough. A newspaper article from 25 years ago. The headline reads, "Local business owner dies in suspicious car accident." That's Charles's father, Ryan says, moving closer. Read the date, Sophie urges. I do, then I read it again. This was 3 days after those photos Margaret mentioned, the ones that ruined his political career. Keep reading. The article mentions brake failure, a steep road, no witnesses, and at the bottom, A quote from the grieving family's spokesperson, Vivian Hamilton. She didn't just destroy his career, I whisper. We don't know that, Ryan interrupts. But his voice shakes. Another knock downstairs, more insistent this time. There's more. Sophie scrolls down. Guess who else died in a car accident with suspicious circumstances? The investigator who was looking into the campaign finance irregularities that those photos exposed. The room spins slightly. I sit on the edge of the bed, my packed suitcase forgotten. Arya, Vivian's voice carries up the stairs. We need to talk about this situation like adults. Ryan moves toward the door, but I grab his arm. Don't, please. He looks down at my hand, then at the article still displayed on Sophie's phone. For the first time, I see real fear in his eyes. What do you want me to do? He asks. Choose, I say simply. For once in your life, choose. Footsteps on the stairs. Sophie positions herself between me and the door. I can't just, Ryan starts. Yes, you can. Because if you don't, I'm walking out that door. And unlike Charles, I'll make sure I'm not alone on any steep roads. The footsteps reach our floor. Ryan looks at the door, then back at me. In that moment, I see every choice we've ever made, every compromise, every silence. And I realize this isn't just about saving my marriage anymore. It's about survival. Ryan? Vivian's voice is closer now. Darling, is she up here with you? Sheh. He takes a deep breath, and I watch my husband choose. No, mother, he calls out, his voice steady for the first time in weeks. She's not, and neither am I. He grabs my suitcase with one hand, my arm with the other. Sophie, is your car out back? She nods, a slow smile spreading across her face. Then let's go, he says, all of us. As we slip out the back door, I hear Vivian calling our names. But for once, she's not the one in control. For once, we're writing our own story. And this time I'm not running away. I'm running towards something much more dangerous. The truth. The motel room feels like a war room, with papers spread across every surface. Sophie types furiously on her laptop while Ryan paces, phone pressed to his ear. I'm staring at a photograph I found in Margaret's old albums, Vivian and Charles on their wedding day, looking young and in love, before everything went wrong. Derek's not answering. Ryan hangs up. But his secretary said he cleared his schedule for the next week. Emergency meetings with the board. Sophie looks up. They're moving money, fast. I've tracked 3 large transfers to different offshore accounts in the last hour. They know we know. Aita, still studying the photograph. There's something in Vivian's eyes. Even then, a hunger. My phone buzzes. A text from Margaret. Vivian's here, asking questions. Be careful. Another buzz, this time from an unknown number. Meet me at the old Hamilton factory, midnight. Come alone if you want the whole story. D. Ryan reads over my shoulder. It's a trap. Obviously, Sophie agrees. Derek's Vivian's puppet. Always has been. I set down the wedding photo. Maybe that's exactly why we should go. They both stare at me. We? Ryan asks. You and me. Sophie stays here, keeps tracking the money. If something goes wrong, I trail off, not wanting to finish the thought. If something goes wrong, I call Dad. Sophie completes it for me. He's got friends in the DA's office. They're already interested in those offshore accounts. Ryan grabs his keys. We should leave now, scout the location before. A knock at the door freezes us all. Through the thin curtains, we can see a familiar silhouette. Arya, Vivian's voice is honey sweet. Darling, I know you're in there. Let's talk about this like family. Sophie quietly closes her laptop. Ryan moves toward the bathroom window, our planned escape route. I brought something you might want to see, Vivian continues. About your father's construction company. Did you know he bid on Hamilton Properties contracts 3 years ago? Before you met Ryan? My blood runs cold. Dad never mentioned this. Such a shame about those anonymous complaints that killed the bid. Cost him nearly everything, didn't it? Would be terrible if history repeated itself. Ryan grabs my arm as I move toward the door. Don't, he whispers. But I'm already putting pieces together. The timing of Dad's near bankruptcy, the mysterious lost contracts, how convenient it was that Ryan met me just when my family was most vulnerable. 5 minutes, I say to Vivian through the door, alone. Arya, no. Sophie starts. I turn to them both. Get to the factory. I'll meet you there. And if I don't, I hand Sophie the wedding photograph. Look at her eyes. Really look. Then check the dates of every suspicious death around her. Not just Charles's father. The bathroom window slides open silently. As they slip out, I count to 10, then open the door. Vivian stands there, elegant as ever, holding a thick folder. Smart girl, she says, finally learning to negotiate. Show me. She hands over the folder. Inside, I find documents proving everything. How she orchestrated my father's financial ruin. How she positioned Ryan to meet me. How she planned it all, years ago. Why? I ask, though I already suspect the answer. Because I needed to know, she says simply. If you were strong enough, if you could survive what I survived, what I had to become, you destroyed my family to test me? She smiles, and I see that hunger from the wedding photo. Stronger now. I made you stronger, like Charles's family made me stronger. The weak don't survive in this world, Arya. I needed to know if my son's wife could survive. I think of the offshore accounts, the suspicious deaths, the years of manipulation. And if I fail your test? Oh, darling. She reaches out to touch my cheek. I force myself not to flinch. You already have. The question now is, what are you willing to do about it? I step back, clutching the folder. I guess you'll find out at midnight. Her smile widens. So Derek reached out. Good. Remember what I said about survival, Arya. Only one of us can. As she walks away, I look down at the folder in my hands. The evidence I needed, handed over freely. Too freely. That's when I realize this isn't just about survival anymore. It's about who's really being tested and who's really doing the testing. The old Hamilton factory looms against the midnight sky, a steel and concrete tomb holding who knows how many secrets. Ryan's hand finds mine in the darkness. We don't have to do this, but we do. Because somewhere in that building, Derek is waiting with answers about Charles, about Vivian, about all the convenient accidents that paved her way to power. The side door creaks open at our touch. Inside, emergency lights cast sickly green shadows across abandoned machinery. Our footsteps echo on metal catwalks. Derek? Ryan calls out. A figure emerges from the shadows, but it's not Derek. It's Margaret, leaning heavily on her walker. Grandmother. Ryan steps forward. What are you? I'm sorry, she whispers. She made me choose. More shadows move. Security guards materialize from every corner. And there's Vivian, elegant even here, Derek at her shoulder, like a well-trained dog. Family, Vivian's voice that carries across the factory floor. Such a complicated thing, isn't it? I grip the folder of evidence she gave me earlier. Where's Sophie? Safe, for now. Vivian descends the metal stairs, each click of her heels like a gunshot. Though that depends entirely on you. Ryan moves to shield me, but two guards grab his arms. Mother, stop this. Oh, darling, she sighs. I'm trying to save you from becoming your father, from choosing weakness over strength. She turns to me. Show them the folder, Arya. My hands shake as I open it. But the documents inside aren't what she gave me earlier. These are different. Photographs of my father accepting bribes, falsifying contracts, laundering money through his construction company. No, I shake my head. These are fake. Are they? Derek speaks up. Or did you just never want to see the truth? About your father, about Ryan, about yourself. What's he talking about? Ryan demands. Vivian produces another folder. Your father didn't just bid on Hamilton contracts, Arya. He helped me destroy his competitors, helped me cover up Charles's father's accident, all to protect his own interests. She smiles. Like father, like daughter. You're lying. Am I? Ask him yourself. The factory door opens again. My father walks in, looking older than I've ever seen him. Dad? He won't meet my eyes. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I did what I had to do, to protect us, to protect you. And now, Vivian continues. You'll do what you have to do to protect everyone. She hands me a USB drive, all the evidence of your father's crimes and Ryan's involvement. Yes, darling, she tells her son. Those contracts you signed last year, not quite as clean as you thought. The pieces fall into place. The arranged marriage, the tests, the manipulation. We were never players in this game. We were pieces being moved across Vivian's board. What do you want? My voice sounds hollow. Sign over your shares in the company. Admit to orchestrating the offshore accounts. Take the fall. She steps closer. Or watch everything you love burn. Don't. Ryan struggles against the guards. Arya, don't. Tick-tock. Derek checks his watch. Sophie's waiting. And those photos of her with the corporate accounts? Very convincing. I look at my father, broken by his own choices. At Margaret, forced to betray her grandson. At Ryan, finally seeing the true cost of his family's legacy. If I do this, I say slowly, everyone else walks away clean? You have my word. Vivian offers a pen and papers. Your word? I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. Like Charles had your word? Like his father had your word. Charles was weak, she snaps. Like you're being weak now. Sometimes survival means sacrifice. I take the pen, feel its weight. Think about Sophie, about Ryan, about all the lives Vivian has destroyed in the name of survival. You're right, I say. Sometimes it does. I sign the papers, watch Vivian's triumphant smile, watch my father's shoulders slump in relief, and then I pull out my phone, press play on the recording of everything that just happened, and watch that smile fade. You're not the only one who knows about sacrifice, I tell her. But before anyone can move, a shot rings out. Pain explodes in my shoulder. Through blurring vision, I see Derek lowering a gun, see Ryan breaking free, see Vivian's face transform from shock to something like respect. As darkness closes in, I hear her whisper, now we'll see who really survives. The hospital monitors beep steadily as I open my eyes. Ryan's asleep in the chair beside me, but Sophie stands at the window, phone pressed to her ear. They're moving the board meeting up, she whispers. Tomorrow morning, they're going to vote on the merger before anyone can stop them. I try to sit up, wincing at the pain in my shoulder. Where's the recording? Safe, but Vivian's claiming it was taken under duress. And with Dad's involvement, she trails off. The door opens. Vivian walks in, immaculate as ever. Behind her, Margaret wheels herself into the room, her walker replaced by a wheelchair I've never seen before. Everyone out, Vivian commands, except Arya. Ryan stirs. I'm not leaving. Yes, you are, Margaret cuts in. Begin. Both of you, this ends now. After they leave, Vivian sits on the edge of my bed, studies me like a specimen under glass. You know what happened to Charles? She asked quietly. You killed him. No. She pulls out an old photograph. He killed himself after he discovered what his father had done. The embezzlement, the fraud, the lives destroyed. His precious moral code couldn't handle the truth about his family's legacy. So you covered it up. I protected what was mine. Her fingers trace the photograph's edge. Like you tried to protect your recording. But there's something you should know about survival, Arya. It's not about who's strongest. The door opens again. Derek enters, but something's different. He's not carrying himself like Vivian's loyal servant anymore. Show her, Vivian commands. Derek hands me a file. Inside are documents spanning decades, all bearing Margaret's signature. Property transfers, bank accounts, death certificates. I don't understand, I start. My mother, Vivian's voice turns bitter, taught me everything I know about his survival, about power. She orchestrated Charles's father's accident, arranged my marriage, shaped me into what she needed me to be. She looks at Margaret's wheelchair outside the door, and now she's doing it again. The truth hits like another bullet. She's been playing us all. For years, Derek confirms. I've been reporting to her, not Vivian. Everything, the toast, the exclusion, the contracts, all designed to test both of you. But why? Because power without purpose is meaningless. Margaret wheels herself back in. And family without strength is doomed to fall. She looks at Vivian. I had to know if either of you were worthy of the legacy, if you could do what needs to be done. And now, I ask. Now we know. Margaret produces a gun, the same one Derek used. One of you walks out of here with everything. The company, the truth, the future. She places it on my bed. Choose. Vivian doesn't move, doesn't reach for the gun, just watches me with those hungry eyes. And suddenly, I understand. This isn't about survival. It's about breaking the cycle. I pick up the gun, point it at Margaret. You're right. Family without strength is doomed. I turn it toward Vivian. But strength without mercy is just another kind of weakness. Then I press play on my phone. Not on the factory recording, but on the conversation we just had. The full confession. Sophie's not the only one who knows how to hack phones, I say, as Margaret's face darkens. The board already has this, along with proof of every manipulation, every crime, every test. It's over. You fool, Margaret snarls. You've destroyed everything. No, Vivian stands slowly. She saved us from becoming you. She takes the gun from my hand, places it out of reach, from destroying ourselves. Security arrives minutes later. As they lead Margaret away, she calls back, "You'll regret this, both of you. Some things are worth any price." She's right, Vivian says after they're gone. About the price. She looks at me with something like respect. Welcome to the family, Arya, the real one. I think of all the pain, all the manipulation, all the lives broken in the name of legacy and power. What happens now? Now, she smiles, but it's different. Tired, real. Now we learn how to survive without destroying each other. As she leaves, I notice she's left the old photograph behind. But now I see what I missed before. It wasn't hunger in her eyes back then. It was fear. The same fear I see in my own reflection now. The Hamilton estate sale draws a smaller crowd than expected. I watch from the second-floor window as strangers pick through generations of carefully curated power, reduced now to price tags and lot numbers. Vivian appears beside me, her reflection ghosting against the glass. Margaret's lawyer called. She's refusing visitors. Good. We stand in silence, watching an elderly couple examine a crystal vase, the one Vivian used for her wedding toast at my reception. The memory feels like it belongs to someone else. I found this in Charles's old study. Vivian hands me a leather-bound journal. You should read it. The pages smell of dust and secrets. Charles's handwriting fills each page with observation about his family's corruption, his growing horror at discovering the truth. The last entry is dated 3 days before his death. He was going to expose everything, I realize. Not just his father's crimes, but the whole system. And now you have. Vivian's voice carries no accusation, just tired acceptance. The board voted this morning. The company's being dissolved. Assets redistributed. Footsteps on the stairs. Ryan and Sophie, carrying boxes. My sister's eyes are red-rimmed, but her voice is steady. Dad's paperwork is all sorted. The DA's office is offering a deal. Take it, I tell her. All of it ends here. Ryan sets down his box, pulls out an old photograph album. Look what I found. The images tell a story I never saw before. Vivian as a young mother, teaching Ryan to walk. Margaret watching from the background, always watching. The slow transformation of a family into a fortress. We're selling the house, Vivian announces suddenly. All of it, starting fresh. Where will you go? I ask. She smiles, and for the first time, it reaches her eyes. There's a small town in Oregon. Charles talked about retiring there before everything. The elderly couple buys the vase. As they carry it out, sunlight catches the crystal, sending rainbow fragments dancing across the walls. I've been thinking about what Margaret said, I say quietly, about survival, about strength. And I think real strength is knowing when to let go. Ryan takes my hand. Outside, the last of the estate sale crowd is dispersing. Soon this house will be empty, its walls no longer echoing with decades of manipulation and fear. There's something else you should know, Vivian says, about your father's company. The contracts weren't all Margaret's doing. Some of them, I chose those targets myself, including your father. The admission should hurt more than it does. But looking at her now, I see something I never expected. Remorse. Why tell me this? Because survival isn't just about living through something, she says. It's about what you become while surviving. Sophie appears with more boxes, but stops short, sensing the moment. The four of us stand there, surrounded by the dismantled pieces of a dynasty built on fear and control. I found this too. Ryan pulls something from his pocket. My pearl necklace from our wedding day. Thought you might want it back. I take it, feel its weight. Then I walk to the window, open it, and let the pearls fall. They scatter across the driveway like drops of rain. Mother would call that wasteful, Vivian observes. No, I correct her. She'd call it weak, but she was wrong about a lot of things. Later, as the sun sets on the empty house, I find Charles's journal again. There's a line underlined near the end. The greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in refusing to become them. I leave the journal on Margaret's old desk. Let the next owners find it, or not. Some stories need to end for others to begin. As we lock up for the last time, Vivian pauses on the porch. You know she'll never stop, even from prison. Margaret will try to rebuild. Let her try, I say. We have something stronger than her kind of power now. What's that? I look at Ryan, at Sophie, at the woman who was my enemy and is now something else. Something complicated and real. The truth, I answer, and each other. We walk away from the Hamilton estate together, leaving behind empty rooms filled with echoes of vengeance. Some of them might follow us. Some might even catch up one day. But that's tomorrow's survival.
The scent of lavender and pine sol always meant trouble. Mother Dearest was stress cleaning again, probably reorganizing my cabinets or rearranging Emma's toys for the 100th time. I should have known something was wrong when I pulled into the driveway and caught that familiar chemical smell wafting through the open windows. I'm Julia, and until today, I thought I had mastered the art of living with my mother-in-law, Martha. 6 months of practiced smiles, carefully chosen words, and strategic retreats to maintain peace in my own home. But sometimes peace comes at too high a price. "Mommy!" Emma crashed into my legs the moment I stepped through the door, her dark curls wild and untamed. "Grandma Martha says we're having pizza for dinner." Does she now? I kept my voice light, though my stomach clenched. Another dinner decision made without my input. Another small rebellion against my authority in my own home. The house was spotless. Too spotless. Martha's cleaning frenzies usually meant she was building up to something. I found her in the living room, perched on the edge of the sofa like a bird of prey, hands folded primly in her lap. "Julia, dear, how was your outing?" The pause before outing carried enough judgment to fill a courtroom. "The charity lunch was lovely, Martha. Thank you for watching Emma." I moved toward the bookshelf where I kept our family photo album, needing to add some pictures from today's event. The empty space where it should have been made, my heart skip. "Looking for something?" Martha's voice carried that sickly sweet tone she reserved for her special moments of triumph. The photo album. "Oh, that old thing?" She waved dismissively. "I took the liberty of reorganizing your photographs. They were in such disarray. But while I was at it, I couldn't help but notice how few recent pictures you have of Emma. A mother should document every precious moment, don't you think?" My fingers curled into fists. "Where is it, Martha?" She reached beside the sofa and produced a crisp white envelope. "I've written down some thoughts about proper maternal documentation, and perhaps some other areas where a bit more attention might be beneficial." I snatched the envelope, my hands trembling as I pulled out the letter. Each perfectly penned word was a dagger. "Dear Julia, as a mother myself, I feel compelled to address certain concerns regarding Emma's upbringing. Your frequent absences, 3 charity events this month alone, and lack of proper documentation of Emma's childhood moments suggest a troubling pattern of neglect." The letter went on, 2 pages of carefully crafted criticism disguised as concern. My photo album, the one containing every precious memory since Emma's birth, was being held hostage until I demonstrated more maternal responsibility. "Where is my album?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Somewhere safe," Martha smiled, until you've had time to reflect on my suggestions. Emma tugged at my sleeve. Mommy, can we look at the pictures of my birthday? I crouched down to her level, forcing a smile. Not right now, sweetheart. Why don't you go play in your room while I talk to Grandma Martha? After Emma disappeared upstairs, I turned to face my mother-in-law. This ends now. I'm only thinking of Emma's best interests, Martha said, rising from the sofa. Someone has to. The front door opened and Ryan's voice called out, I'm home early. Something smells amazing. Martha's face transformed instantly into a mask of maternal concern. In here, darling. I was just having a heart-to-heart with Julia about some family matters. I watched her glide toward my husband, the letter crumpling in my grip. 6 months of subtle undermining, of questioning my every decision, of trying to drive a wedge between me and my daughter. But stealing my memories? That was her first real mistake, and I was done playing defense. Ryan's fork scraped against his plate, the sound grating against my nerves like fingernails on a chalkboard. He hadn't looked up once during Martha's theatrical recounting of her day with Emma. And then, Martha continued, dabbing her lips with a napkin, I showed Emma those lovely ballet videos from when you were young, Ryan. She was absolutely transfixed. That's nice, Mom. Ryan's attention remained fixed on his phone, probably checking work emails again. I pushed my untouched pizza around the plate, the stolen photo album weighing heavy on my mind. Emma, sweetie, how about we read that new library book before bed? Oh, Martha interjected. I've already promised to read her the special book I bought today. It's about a little girl who lives with her grandmother. Isn't that right, precious? Emma nodded, her eyes darting between Martha and me. The hesitation in her expression made my chest tighten. Actually, I said, measuring each word, I'd like to spend some time with my daughter before bed. Martha's smile didn't waver, but her knuckles whitened around her wine glass. Julia, dear, you've had your outing today. Surely you can spare Emma for one bedtime story with her grandmother. Ryan? I turned to my husband, silently pleading for support. He finally looked up, confusion crossing his features. What's the problem? Mom's just trying to help, Jules. You know how busy you've been lately with all these charity events. The betrayal stung worse than I expected. I've attended exactly 3 events in 6 months, Ryan. 3. Now, Julia, Martha's voice dripped with false concern. There's no need to get defensive. We're all family here. Speaking of which, Ryan, did you know Julia missed Emma's dance class last week? I didn't miss, I started, but Martha steamrolled over my protest. Emma was so disappointed when all the other mothers were there for the parent observation day. Ryan frowned. Jules, you didn't mention that. Because it wasn't parent observation day, I snapped. That's next week. I have it marked on the calendar in the kitchen. Martha's eyes widened in practiced innocence. Oh dear, did I get the dates mixed up? I could have sworn... Well, no matter, I was happy to step in regardless. Emma's small voice cut through the tension. Mommy, my tummy hurts. I pushed back from the table, grateful for the excuse to escape. Come on, sweetheart, let's get you upstairs. In Emma's bathroom, I held her hair back as she threw up the pizza. Martha appeared in the doorway, hovering like a concerned vulture. Poor dear, she cooed. I knew that second slice was too much. Julia, you really should monitor her portions more carefully. I bit back a retort, focusing instead on comforting Emma. It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. Perhaps, Martha suggested, Emma should sleep in my room tonight. I have more experience with sick children, after all. Absolutely not. The words came out sharper than I intended. Julia! Ryan's voice carried from the hallway. Mom's just trying to help. I helped Emma rinse her mouth, my mind racing. This was Martha's game, death by 1,000 cuts, each small criticism and intervention designed to paint me as an incompetent mother. Later, after Emma had finally fallen asleep in her own bed, I found Ryan in his home office. We need to talk about your mother. He sighed without looking up from his laptop. Can we not do this tonight? I have a presentation tomorrow. She took our photo album. What? That got his attention. She's holding it hostage until I prove I'm a better mother. Ryan rubbed his temples. Jules, that doesn't even make sense. Mom wouldn't... Check her room, I challenged. Right now. I'll wait. He stared at me for a long moment before standing. Fine, but when we don't find anything, I want you to drop this attitude toward my mother. I followed him to Martha's door, where we found it locked, a first since she'd moved in. Ryan knocked. Mom? You awake? Just a moment, darling. Martha's voice was followed by suspicious rustling sounds. When she opened the door, her smile was too bright, too rehearsed. Behind her, I caught a glimpse of something familiar being hastily shoved under her pillow, the corner of a blue album cover I would recognize anywhere. Ryan saw it too. His shoulders tensed, but before he could speak, Martha launched into a story about feeling unwell and needing her rest. As we walked away, I watched my husband's face carefully. The crack in his perfect image of his mother was tiny, but it was there, and I intended to make it bigger. The email from Emma's school glowed accusingly on my phone screen. My daughter had been enrolled in 3 new after-school activities: advanced math tutoring, competitive gymnastics, and Chinese lessons. I hadn't signed up for any of them. My brother David set a steaming cup of coffee in front of me. We were hiding out in his restaurant's back office, the only place I could think straight anymore. Show me that email again. I handed him my phone. The enrollment forms were signed last week, while I was at that dentist appointment. Jesus, David muttered, scrolling through the message. Martha's got some nerve, signing Emma up for all this without telling you. She used Ryan's email address. He probably hasn't even noticed the confirmations coming in. I wrapped my hands around the coffee mug, trying to stop them from shaking. You should see Emma, David. She's exhausted, 6 years old and scheduled down to the minute. Have you told Ryan? He's barely home. When he is, Martha's always there, hovering, controlling the narrative. The coffee burned my tongue, but I welcomed the pain. This morning, she told him I forgot to pack Emma's lunch. I didn't forget. She hid the lunch I made and packed her own. A knock at the office door made me jump. One of David's waitresses poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a call for Julia. Says it's about Emma. My heart stopped. I grabbed the phone from David's desk. Hello? Mrs. Harrison? This is Nurse Chen from Riverside Elementary. Emma's feeling unwell. She got dizzy during her lunch break and... Dizzy? Is she okay? She's resting now. Your mother-in-law is already here to pick her up. No! The word exploded from me. Do not release my daughter to anyone but me. I'm on my way. I found them in the nurse's office. Martha perched on the edge of Emma's cot, stroking her hair. My daughter's face was pale, dark circles under her eyes that no 6-year-old should have. Julia, Martha's voice dripped concern. You didn't need to leave your... Whatever you were doing, I had everything under control. Emma, baby, how are you feeling? I knelt beside the cot, opposite Martha. Tired, Mommy. My head hurts. Of course she's tired, Martha said. Children need structure, discipline. These new programs will help build her character. Programs you signed her up for without my knowledge or consent. Martha's eyes narrowed. Ryan agreed. Ryan doesn't know, does he? You forged the signatures, used his email, just like you've been going through my phone, deleting messages from the school. I don't know what you're talking about. But her hand tightened on Emma's shoulder, making my daughter wince. Let go of her. Julia, you're being hysterical. This is exactly why I said, let go of my daughter. Nurse Chen appeared in the doorway, sensing the tension. Is everything all right? No, I said, pulling out my phone. It's not. I'm calling my husband. Martha's composure cracked. He's in an important meeting. About his daughter being in the nurse's office? About you forging his signature? Let's see what he thinks is important. I dialed, holding Martha's gaze. 1 ring, 2, 3. Jules, I'm kind of in the middle of something. Emma's in the nurse's office. She collapsed from exhaustion because your mother enrolled her in 3 extra programs without our permission. She forged your signature, Ryan, used your email. Check your deleted folders. You'll find the confirmations she tried to hide. Silence. Then, Mom did what? Martha was already gathering her things, backing toward the door. Ryan, darling, I can explain. But Ryan's voice had changed, hardened. Don't move, Mom. Jules, take Emma home. I'm leaving work now. I lifted Emma into my arms, her small body too light, too fragile. Martha blocked the doorway. "This isn't over," she whispered, low enough that only I could hear. "You have no idea what you're doing." "No, Martha," I replied, feeling Emma's arms tighten around my neck. "For the first time, I know exactly what I'm doing." As I carried Emma to the car, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about the photo album anymore. This was war, and Martha had just lost her first major battle, but the look in her eyes told me she wasn't done fighting, not by a long shot. The box appeared on our doorstep 3 days after the school incident. No return address, just Emma's name in Martha's perfect cursive. Inside lay my wedding dress, carefully cut into precise, methodical strips. I stood in the kitchen, holding the mutilated silk, when Ryan came home early. His face darkened at the sight. "Mom's gone too far." He ran his fingers through his hair. "I'll talk to her." "Like you talked to her about the forged signatures?" The words came out sharper than intended. "She apologized, you accepted, and nothing changed." "What do you want me to do, Jules? Throw her out?" The front door opened before I could respond. Martha's voice carried from the hallway, accompanied by Emma's excited chatter. "And then we can show Daddy your wonderful news." Ryan frowned. "What news?" Martha swept in, brandishing a piece of paper. "Emma's been accepted into St. Catherine's Academy. Isn't it wonderful?" My stomach dropped. St. Catherine's was 2 hours away. "It's a boarding school," Martha continued, beaming. "The same one Ryan attended. I took the liberty of submitting an application months ago, and they've offered her a full scholarship." Ryan took the acceptance letter, his expression unreadable. "Mom, we never discussed—" "Of course, I knew Julia might object," Martha cut in, "given her attachment issues. But Emma deserves the best education possible. Don't you agree?" Emma tugged at my sleeve. "Grandma says they have horses, Mommy." I crouched down to her level, fighting to keep my voice steady. "Sweetie, why don't you go upstairs and start your homework? We need to talk about this as adults." Once Emma was gone, I turned to Martha. "You had no right." "I had every right." Martha's mask slipped, revealing something cold beneath. "As a grandmother, as a former educator, as someone who wants more for Emma than this." She gestured dismissively at our home. "Ryan," I said quietly, "your mother just tried to send our daughter to boarding school without consulting us. Are you going to say anything?" He stood there, still holding the acceptance letter, looking lost. "It is a good school, Jules." Something inside me shattered. "I need some air." I grabbed my keys, the shredded wedding dress still clutched in my other hand. "Julia, don't be dramatic," Martha called after me. "This is exactly why Emma needs proper guidance." I slammed the door on her words. 20 minutes later, I sat in David's office again, spreading the strips of my wedding dress across his desk. "She's trying to take Emma." My voice sounded strange, distant. "And Ryan, he's actually considering it." David examined one of the silk strips. "This is a threat, Julia. She's showing you what she can do to your marriage, your family." "I know." I picked up a piece of the dress, remembering how proud Martha had been at the wedding, all smiles and tears. "She's been playing the long game. Every criticism, every helpful suggestion, every time she undermined my decisions, it was all leading to this." "What are you going to do?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. "Come home, please, we need to talk." Another buzz, this time from an unknown number. I opened it and felt my blood freeze. Photos of me, taken without my knowledge over the past week, at David's restaurant, running errands, meeting my friend Sarah for coffee. The final image showed me embracing David outside his restaurant, the angle making our innocent hug appear intimate. A message followed. What would Ryan think about his wife's afternoon activities? Perhaps Emma really would be better off at boarding school. David read the messages over my shoulder and swore. "That's it. We're going to the police." "No." I stood up, something hardening inside me. "Martha wants to play games? Fine. But she forgot something important." "What's that?" I gathered the strips of my wedding dress, each piece a reminder of Martha's escalating war against me. I'm not just fighting for my marriage anymore. I'm fighting for my daughter, and unlike Martha, I don't need to play dirty to win. Julia. I'm going home, I said, my voice steady for the first time in days. It's time to show Ryan exactly who his mother really is. The antique vase shattered against the hardwood floor, its pieces scattering like broken promises. I stood frozen in the hallway, watching Martha's performance begin. Emma! Her voice carried upstairs. Come down here this instant! I'd been heading to the kitchen when I'd overheard her whispered phone conversation. Of course I have a plan. When Julia confronts me about the photos, I'll make sure Emma takes the blame for something valuable. Then we'll see who's the responsible parent. The sound of Emma's footsteps pulled me back to the present. My daughter appeared at the top of the stairs, still in her pajamas. What happened? Emma's voice trembled. Martha's face twisted into a mask of stern disappointment. Did you knock over great-grandmother's vase while running in the house? The one I specifically told you to be careful around? I didn't. Emma was in her room, I said, stepping forward. I've been standing here the whole time. Martha's eyes narrowed. Julia, please. I saw her running past just moments ago. That's interesting. I pulled out my phone, showing the video I'd started recording the moment I heard her plan, because I saw something very different. The color drained from Martha's face. You were spying on me? Mom, what's going on? Ryan appeared from his home office, drawn by the commotion. Martha's tears appeared on cue. Oh, Ryan, I was just trying to teach Emma about responsibility. And Julia? She's trying to turn everyone against me. By breaking your own vase? I played the video. Martha's voice filled the hallway. When Julia confronts me about the photos. What photos? Ryan asked. Martha lunged for my phone. I stepped back, letting her momentum carry her forward. She stumbled, catching herself against the wall. The ones she took of me without my consent. I pulled up the threatening messages. The ones she used to suggest I was having an affair with my own brother. Ryan took my phone, scrolling through the messages. His jaw tightened. Mom? She's twisting everything. Martha's voice rose hysterically. I was protecting you, protecting Emma. Julia's been sneaking around, meeting that brother of hers in secret. For coffee, I cut in. At his restaurant, in public. Because my own home hasn't felt safe since you moved in. Emma's small voice broke through the tension. Grandma broke the vase. I saw her from upstairs. Martha spun toward Emma. Darling, you're confused. You know how your mother fills your head with... Don't! Ryan's voice was ice. Don't you dare try to manipulate my daughter. Ryan, sweetheart. The boarding school application? He advanced toward his mother. The deleted emails, the forged signatures, and now this? Martha's facade cracked. Everything I did for this family. Julia's not good enough for you, can't you see that? She's turning Emma soft, making her weak. The only weakness I see, Ryan said quietly, is your grip on reality. I gathered Emma into my arms, feeling her tremble. Go pack a bag, sweetheart. We're going to spend a few days at Uncle David's. No one is going anywhere, Martha blocked the stairs. This is my family. I won't let you destroy it. Your family? Ryan's laugh was hollow. You've been destroying it piece by piece since you moved in. The photo album, Julia's wedding dress, and now this? You're the one tearing us apart. The wedding dress? Martha's smile turned cruel. She deserved it. Parading around like she belongs here, like she's worthy of the Harrison name. That's enough. Ryan pulled out his phone. I'm calling a car service. Pack your things, Mom. You're moving into a hotel tonight. Martha's mask shattered completely. You can't do this to me. I'm your mother. And I'm your son, watching you try to destroy my wife and traumatize my child. Ryan's voice broke. I chose this family. My family. It's time for you to leave. As Martha stormed upstairs, hurling threats and accusations, I held Emma closer. The broken vase glittered around us like the remnants of Martha's control, finally shattered beyond repair. But in the fragments, I saw something else. The reflection of my family, stronger in their brokenness, ready to rebuild without Martha's poisonous influence. The war wasn't over. Martha's retreat would only make her more dangerous. But for the first time, we were fighting together. The hotel lobby gleamed with polished marble and false promises. Martha sat across from us, perfectly composed in her designer suit, while a team of lawyers arranged papers on the mahogany table between us. "It's quite simple," her lead attorney said. "Either Emma attends St. Catherine's or Mrs. Harrison will pursue full grandparental rights." Ryan's hand tightened around mine. "You can't be serious." "Oh, but I am." Martha's smile never reached her eyes. "I've documented everything. Julia's erratic behavior, her suspicious meetings, her attempts to alienate Emma from her family heritage." "By family heritage, you mean you," I said. Martha's lawyer slid forward a thick folder. "We have witness statements from Emma's teachers about Julia's frequent absences from school events, documentation of emotional manipulation, evidence of an inappropriate relationship with her brother." "Those pictures were taken out of context," Ryan snapped. "You orchestrated all of this." "Did I?" Martha leaned forward. "Or did I simply observe a mother who's clearly unfit? The courts tend to favor stability, tradition, a prestigious boarding school education versus, what exactly? Afternoon cartoons and takeout dinners?" I stared at the legal documents, my vision blurring. Months of Martha's careful groundwork spread before us, altered dates on photographs, carefully edited text messages, statements from concerned neighbors she'd cultivated. "You've been planning this since you moved in," I whispered. "I've been protecting my granddaughter." Martha's mask slipped, revealing something desperate underneath. "Ryan, darling, surely you see that Emma deserves better, the same opportunities you had?" "I was miserable at boarding school," Ryan said quietly. "You were challenged, shaped into success." Martha's voice hardened. "Julia's making Emma soft, dependent. Just look at how the child clings to her. Because I'm her mother. For now." Martha nodded to her lawyer, who produced another document. "We are prepared to be generous. Joint custody, with Emma attending St. Catherine's. Or we can make this very public, very messy. Your choice." Ryan started to speak, but his phone buzzed. He checked it, his face draining of color. "What is it?" I asked. "She's..." He turned the phone toward me. On the screen, a news article showed David's restaurant, emergency vehicles crowding the street. The headline read, "Local restaurant shut down, health code violations." "Tragic timing," Martha said softly. "One might question the judgment of someone who associates with such questionable business practices. My brother's livelihood, destroyed in minutes, because of me, because he tried to help." "You're destroying everyone I love," I said. "No, Julia. You did that yourself by trying to come between me and my family." Martha stood, smoothing her jacket. "You have 24 hours to decide. Emma's future at St. Catherine's, or a very public custody battle that will expose every flaw, every mistake, every secret you've tried to hide." She paused at the door. "Oh, and Julia? I found your photo album. The memories you tried so desperately to preserve, they're gone now, just like everything else will be, unless you make the right choice." After she left, Ryan and I sat in silence, the weight of her ultimatum crushing us. "We could fight," he said finally, "and risk losing Emma completely." I pulled out my phone, showing him the latest text from David. "Health inspectors came out of nowhere. Everything's gone, Jules. Everything." "Julia?" "No." I stood up, my decision crystallizing like ice in my veins. "I won't let her destroy anyone else I love." "What are you saying?" I picked up the boarding school acceptance papers, my hands steady despite the trembling in my heart. "I'm saying we send Emma to St. Catherine's, and then..." "Then what?" I thought of my shredded wedding dress, my burned photos, my brother's ruined business. Then I stopped playing by Martha's rules. She wants to teach Emma about family heritage? Fine. Let's show her what happens when you declare war on the wrong family. Ryan stared at me, seeing something new in my eyes, something that made him lean back slightly. Good. Because the woman who walked into this hotel was dead now, killed by Martha's final power play. And the one walking out? She had nothing left to lose. St. Catherine's Academy loomed before us, all Gothic spires and ivy-covered walls. Martha stood at the top of the stone steps, waiting to welcome her victory. Behind her, a photographer from the local paper adjusted his camera. "Right on schedule," Martha called out. "Emma, darling, come to grandmother." I kept hold of Emma's hand, Ryan flanking our other side. The manila envelope in my bag felt heavy with purpose. "Julia," Martha's smile tightened, "you're not planning to make a scene, are you? Think of the headlines." "Oh, I am." I handed Emma's bag to Ryan and climbed the steps. In fact, I brought some headline suggestions of my own. Martha's lawyer emerged from the shadows. "Mrs. Harrison, remember our agreement? The agreement's void." I pulled out my phone, dialing a number. "David, you're on speaker." My brother's voice filled the space between us. "Got the evidence right here, Jules. Health inspector confirmed it. Someone paid him to target the restaurant. Bank transfers, text messages, all trace back to a certain retired teacher's account." Martha's face hardened. "Lies." "Then there's this." I produced the manila envelope. "Remember Mrs. Chen? Emma's nurse? Turns out she keeps excellent records, including the time you tried to convince her Emma was being neglected at home. I was protecting... and these..." More papers spilled out. "Your financial records. Every bribe, every manipulated situation, every person you paid to spy on me. Did you really think I'd just surrender?" The photographer started snapping pictures. Martha lunged for him. "Stop that!" "Why?" I asked. "Isn't this what you wanted? Public attention? Let's give them a real story. How a respected teacher orchestrated a campaign of harassment against her daughter-in-law. How she destroyed a local business, manipulated medical records, all to gain control of her granddaughter." "You wouldn't dare," but fear had crept into Martha's voice. "I'll ruin you." "You already tried." Ryan stepped forward, Emma secure in his arms. "But here's what's going to happen instead. You're going to drop this custody threat. You're going to publicly apologize to Julia and David. And you're going to disappear from our lives." "Or what?" I held up my phone. "Or every newspaper in the state gets proof of your crimes. Every parent at your precious St. Catherine's learns what kind of woman you really are. Your reputation, your social standing, your whole carefully constructed image, gone. You can't prove? The nurse recorded your conversation, Martha. The health inspector kept his text messages. And your financial records?" I smiled. Let's just say Ryan isn't the only one good with numbers. Martha's lawyer quietly gathered his papers and retreated. The photographer kept shooting, capturing her unraveling moment by moment. "I am your mother," she hissed at Ryan. "No." He met her gaze steadily. "You're a woman who forgot that love isn't about control, that family isn't about power. Emma deserves better than your kind of legacy." "Mommy?" Emma's voice cut through the tension. "Can we go home now?" Martha made one last desperate grab for her granddaughter. I stepped between them, my voice low enough for only her to hear. "You took my photos, my memories. You tried to take my daughter. But you forgot something crucial, Martha. You taught Ryan everything he knows about power plays and manipulation. And I learned from watching you, too." "This isn't over," she whispered. "Actually, it is." I turned to the photographer. "I believe you have enough for your story. Respected teacher's attempted kidnapping scheme exposed should make quite a headline." Martha's face crumpled as she finally recognized her defeat. All her careful plans, her manipulations, her power, useless against the simple truth she'd tried to bury. Love doesn't need schemes or control. It just needs to be real. As we walked away, Emma's hand warm in mine, Ryan's arm steady around us both, I heard Martha's broken whisper behind us. "What have you done?" I didn't turn around. She already knew the answer. I'd done exactly what she taught me to do. Protect my family at any cost. The difference was, I'd won by telling the truth, not by burying it. And that would haunt her more than any revenge I could have planned. The small box arrived on a Tuesday, addressed to Emma in Martha's unmistakable handwriting. I turned it over in my hands, feeling its negligible weight, while Ryan watched from across the kitchen table. "We could throw it away," he offered. I shook my head. "She deserves to choose." Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by the art supplies from her 7th birthday party last week. She barely glanced at the package. Is it from Grandma Martha? Yes, sweetheart. She returned to her drawing. I don't want it. Ryan and I exchanged looks. In the 3 months since St. Catherine's, Martha's carefully constructed world had crumbled. The newspaper story had exposed everything: the bribes, the manipulation, the orchestrated campaign against our family. She'd retreated to a small apartment across town, her social circle evaporating as quickly as her reputation. Maybe we should see what it is, I suggested, though part of me wanted to burn it unopened. Emma shrugged, so I carefully unwrapped the package. Inside lay my missing photo album, its blue cover faded but intact. A note rested on top. I kept them safe. With trembling fingers, I opened the album. Every photo was there, perfectly preserved. Emma's birth, her first steps, family vacations and quiet moments at home. Martha hadn't destroyed them after all. Look, Emma. I knelt beside her. These are all our memories. She finally looked up, her small fingers tracing a photo of herself as a toddler. Why did Grandma Martha take them? Sometimes, Ryan said, joining us on the floor, people do wrong things because they're afraid of losing what they love. Did she love us wrong? Yes, I answered, surprising myself with the gentleness in my voice. But that doesn't mean we have to love wrong in return. Emma considered this, then reached for her art supplies. She selected a recent photo from her birthday party, one showing her blowing out candles while Ryan and I watched, David capturing the moment on his new camera. Carefully, she pasted it into the album's final empty page. There, she declared. Now it's finished properly. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw David's car in the driveway. He'd been coming over more often since reopening his restaurant, bringing food and stories and the kind of laughter we'd almost forgotten how to share. Uncle David! Emma ran to greet him. I started to close the album, but Ryan caught my hand. We could send her a copy, he said quietly, of Emma's birthday photo. Why? Because you won. He squeezed my fingers. You protected our family without becoming what she feared you were. Maybe that's worth acknowledging. I thought about Martha, alone in her apartment, surrounded by the consequences of her choices. Would you have sent her away if I hadn't gathered the evidence? I don't know. His honesty was like a balm. But I'm grateful you showed me the truth, even when it hurt. David appeared in the doorway, Emma on his hip. Who's ready for my new pasta recipe, and why does my favorite niece have glitter in her hair? I'm your only niece, Emma giggled. As they headed to the kitchen, I picked up the photo album, weighing its history in my hands. The last page caught my eye, Emma's birthday photo, but something else too. She'd drawn around it, creating a frame of hearts and stars. And at the bottom, in her careful first-grade handwriting, my family. No mention of who was missing, no space left empty for what was lost, just the simple truth of who remained, who chose to love right instead of hold tight. I took a fresh envelope from Ryan's desk and slipped the birthday photo inside. On a small card, I wrote only, Emma's 7th birthday. She's happy. No accusations, no triumph, just an offered moment, a glimpse of the joy Martha had tried too hard to control. Whether she'd understand it as mercy or torment, I couldn't say. But as I sealed the envelope, I realized it didn't matter anymore. We had our memories back, but more importantly, we were making new ones, better ones. Ones where love didn't need to be earned or proved, it just needed to be given, freely and without conditions. That would be our legacy to Emma. And maybe, somewhere in her solitude, Martha would finally understand what she'd lost by trying to possess it instead.
The scent of lavender and sandalwood fills my studio as 20 bodies move in synchronized breath, following my lead through the final sun salutation. Peace radiates through the room, except for one corner where tension crackles like static electricity. "This is ridiculous," Margaret whispers loudly to her neighbor. "Did you hear what they're saying about her online?" I maintain my serene expression, guiding the class into Savasana, but my stomach clenches. 3 months of marriage, and already my mother-in-law's whisper campaign is seeping into my sanctuary. Release any remaining tension, I instruct, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. Let go of thoughts that no longer serve you. If only I could follow my own guidance. Instead, my mind races back to last Sunday's brunch, where Catherine's perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around her mimosa glass as she delivered her latest barb. "Darling," she'd said to Ryan, completely ignoring my presence, "I do worry about Adriana's business model. Charging premium rates while offering private sessions to married men? People talk, you know." The class ends and students roll up their mats. Margaret and her friend hurry out, whispering behind their hands. I busy myself adjusting props, pretending not to notice. "Hey." Lily, my best friend and studio manager, appears at my side. "Don't let them get to you. Catherine's just jealous because you actually built something meaningful here." I force a smile. "I'm fine." "You're not fine. I saw your hands shaking during tree pose." "Did anyone else notice?" "No, but..." My phone buzzes. A text from Ryan. "Mom's coming for dinner. Says she has something important to discuss." Shit. The word escapes before I can catch it. Lily reads over my shoulder. "Cancel it. Say you're sick." "And prove her right about me being unsuitable for her precious son?" I shake my head. "No way." "Then let me help you prepare. We can..." "I've got this." I straighten my spine, channeling the strength I encourage in my students. It's just dinner. But 6 hours later, as Catherine sits at my dining table examining the wine label with barely concealed disdain, I realize how naive that thought was. "Local wine?" She sets the bottle down like it might bite. "How quaint." Ryan squeezes my hand under the table. "It's actually quite good, Mom. Adriana has excellent taste. In some things, perhaps." Catherine's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Speaking of taste, I received some concerning information today about the studio." My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. "What kind of information?" Ryan asks. "Well," Catherine dabs her lips with her napkin, "it seems there are some rather unsavory rumors circulating about inappropriate relationships with clients." The salmon turns to ash in my mouth. "That's absolutely false." "Of course you'd say that, dear. But where there's smoke..." She pulls out her phone. "These reviews are quite specific. Dates, times, names." Ryan releases my hand. "Names?" "All married men," Catherine adds helpfully. "I'm only bringing this up because I care about both of you. Your reputation, Ryan. The family name." "Those reviews are fake," I say, but my voice sounds distant even to my own ears. "Someone's trying to sabotage my business." "Why would anyone do that?" Catherine's concern is perfectly practiced. Unless what?" Ryan's voice has that edge I've never heard before. I stand up suddenly, my chair scraping against the floor. "I need some air." "Adriana," Ryan calls after me, but I'm already heading for the balcony. Outside, the city lights blur through my tears. Behind me, I hear Catherine's soft voice. "I hate to be the one to tell you this, son, but there's more." My fingers grip the railing until my knuckles turn white. In this moment, watching my carefully built life begin to crumble, something shifts inside me. The peaceful yoga instructor who preaches forgiveness and harmony fades away, replaced by something harder, colder. Catherine wants war? Fine. But she has no idea what I'm capable of when pushed too far. I take one deep breath, straighten my shoulders, and turn back toward the dining room. Game on, mother dear, game on. I delete another 1-star review from my studio's page, my hands trembling with rage. That makes 7 this week. Each one mentioning inappropriate behavior with male clients. Each one worded just differently enough to seem legitimate. "You need to see this," Lily says, pushing her laptop across my desk. She's pulled up the local community Facebook group where Catherine holds court like some digital queen bee. She's getting bolder. The post makes my blood run cold. Concerned about the predatory behavior at certain wellness establishments in our community. As a former educator, I feel compelled to warn others. My phone buzzes. Ryan. "Mom's worried about you, says you're not returning her calls. Can we talk?" "Delete it," I tell Lily, pushing back from my desk. "I need air." Outside, I nearly collide with Ethan, Ryan's younger brother, who's loitering by the studio entrance. "Hey, sis," he says, his casual tone setting off warning bells. "Got a minute?" "Actually, it's about Mom." He glances around, lowering his voice. "And Ryan." I follow him to the coffee shop next door, where he orders nothing and fidgets with a napkin. "Look," he starts. "Mom's just trying to protect the family. If you'd just, I don't know, be more traditional, less independent." "Excuse me?" Ryan's stressed. The rumors are affecting his work. His boss pulled him aside yesterday. "Rumors your mother started." "You don't know that." But he won't meet my eyes. "Maybe if you sold the studio, focused on being a wife." I stand up so quickly my chair topples backward. Several heads turn. Did Catherine send you? No, Ryan's my brother. I hate seeing him torn like this. Torn between what? His wife and his mother? There shouldn't even be a choice. My sister Mia's voice cuts through the tension. Everything okay here? She's standing at our table, arms crossed, event planner's tablet tucked under one arm. Her expression is neutral, but I catch the protective edge in her stance. Just a family chat, Ethan says, standing. Think about what I said, Adriana. For Ryan's sake. After he leaves, Mia slides into his vacant seat. Spill. I tell her everything. The reviews, Catherine's post, Ethan's suggestion. Her face darkens with each detail. That manipulative witch, she mutters. You know she's doing this because you threaten her control over Ryan. You're everything she's not. Successful, independent, and apparently predatory. I laugh bitterly. Fight back. I've got dirt on her from planning their country club events. The way she treated the staff, the money that went missing from the charity auction. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a group text from Catherine to the entire family. Dinner at my house tonight. Non-negotiable. Family emergency to discuss. Don't go, Mia says immediately. If I don't, she'll spin it as proof I'm hiding something. I close my eyes, remembering the steel that filled me last night. Besides, maybe it's time to stop playing defense. Back at the studio, I find Lily deep in research mode. You're not going to believe this, she says, spinning her screen toward me. I trace the IP addresses of those negative reviews. 3 of them came from Catherine's house. Can you prove it? Better. I can prove she's been using multiple accounts to harass other businesses too. Anyone she sees as a threat to her social standing. I'm about to respond when Ryan appears in the doorway. The dark circles under his eyes match mine. We need to talk, he says. Lily squeezes my shoulder as she leaves us alone. Ryan paces the small office, running his hands through his hair. My boss called me in again. He starts. The rumors. They're affecting our biggest client. They're threatening to pull their account. Ryan, just tell me the truth. Is there anything to these stories? Anything at all? The question hits like a physical blow. You're actually asking me that? I don't know what to think anymore. Mom wouldn't what? Lie? Manipulate? Destroy someone's reputation? He won't meet my eyes. She says she has proof. In that moment, something inside me hardens completely. You know what? Go to her dinner tonight. Listen to her proof. But remember this moment, Ryan. Remember you chose to believe her over me. He reaches for my hand, but I step back. Adriana, I'll be at dinner too, I say, my voice steady despite my crumbling heart. And I'm bringing proof of my own. Catherine's dining room feels like a courtroom, all polished mahogany and accusation. I sit across from Ryan, the evidence Lily gathered burning a hole in my phone, while Catherine serves her famous pot roast with a side of smug satisfaction. I'm so glad we could all be here, she says, pointedly excluding Mia, who wasn't invited. We need to discuss the situation with the studio. What situation? I keep my voice steady, watching Ryan's face. He studies his plate. The complaints are mounting. Catherine sighs, as if this pains her deeply. 3 more women came to me today, concerned about their husbands' private sessions. Ethan shifts uncomfortably. Maybe we should show them, Catherine interrupts, pulling out a manila folder. The evidence. She spreads photographs across the table. Me with male clients, all perfectly innocent yoga adjustments twisted to look intimate. My hands shake as I recognize the angles, the careful cropping. These are from our security cameras, I say. Someone hacked. A concerned employee sent them to me, Catherine cuts in, along with some rather explicit text messages. Ryan's head snaps up. Messages? Fabricated, I spit out. Just like the reviews from your IP address, Catherine. The room goes still. Catherine's fork pauses halfway to her mouth. I beg your pardon? I pull out my phone, but Ethan suddenly knocks over his wine glass. Red liquid spreads across the table, seeping into the photographs. In the chaos of cleaning up, my phone disappears. Looking for this? Catherine holds up my phone, which somehow ended up on her side of the table. Let's see this evidence of yours. Give it back. The passcode, dear? Mom, Ryan warns, but there's no real force behind it. If you have nothing to hide. Catherine's smile is razor sharp. I stand up slowly. You want to talk about hiding things? Let's discuss the missing charity auction money, or the real reason your last teaching job ended. Color drains from her face. How dare you? Lily's been busy. I continue, heart pounding. Did you know deleted emails are recoverable, Catherine? That digital footprints never really disappear? Ryan. She turns to her son, voice trembling. Are you going to let her threaten me like this? I want to see the messages, Ryan says quietly. The ones you mentioned. Of course. Catherine reaches for her folder, but I'm already moving. Check the metadata, I tell Ryan. The timestamps, the origins. Your mother's quite tech-savvy for someone who claims she can barely use Facebook. Enough. Catherine slams her hand on the table. I tried to handle this privately, but you leave me no choice. Ryan, show her. Ryan pulls out an envelope. The Board of Ethics received a formal complaint. They're investigating the studio. The room spins. What? Multiple witnesses. Catherine adds smoothly, all very concerned about professional boundaries. You did this, I whisper. You orchestrated all of it. I protected my son from a gold digger who... Mom! Ryan stands up. That's enough. But it's not enough. Not nearly. Because I suddenly see something in Catherine's eyes. Not triumph, but fear. She's scared. Of what I might know. Of what I might find. Ryan, I say carefully, ask your mother about November 15th, 1989. Catherine's glass shatters on the floor. What's November 15th? Ethan asks. Nothing, Catherine snaps. An insignificant date. The day everything changed, I say, watching her closely. Isn't that right? The day you made a choice that's haunted you ever since. Get out, her voice shakes. Get out of my house. Mom? Ryan looks between us. What's she talking about? Ask her, I say, heading for the door. Ask her about the baby she gave away. The one before you. The silence behind me is deafening. I pause in the doorway, turn back one last time. By the way, I have copies of everything, and tomorrow I start fighting back. Outside, my hands shake so badly I can barely call Mia. When she answers, I'm already crying. It's done, I tell her. I dropped the bomb. Come over, she says. Lily's here. We've found something else. Something bigger. I look back at Catherine's house where raised voices now filter through the windows. How much bigger? Remember how Mom always said our parents died in a car crash? My blood runs cold. Yes? Catherine was the principal at their school, and I just found out why they were driving that night. The newspaper clipping trembles in my hands as Mia and Lily hover nearby. Yellowed with age, the headline screams across decades, local educator cleared in fatal accident investigation. She was the last person to see them alive, Mia says, her voice hollow. Our parents went to confront her that night about something they'd discovered at the school. Lily taps her laptop screen. The police report mentions missing financial records, but the case was closed within weeks. Catherine's husband was the deputy mayor then. My phone buzzes. Ryan again. 10th missed call since I left the dinner party. I silence it. There's more, Mia continues. Remember that teaching assistant who disappeared the year before? The one Catherine claimed moved to Oregon? A knock at the door makes us all jump. Through the peephole, I see Ethan looking disheveled. Don't, Lily warns, but I'm already opening it. He bursts in. You need to come back. Mom's having some kind of breakdown talking about babies and accidents and... He stops, seeing the newspaper. What's that? Ask your mother, I say. Ask her about Sandra Chen, the teaching assistant who knew too much. His face drains of color. How do you know that name? Because our parents knew it too. Mia steps forward. Right before they died. Ethan sinks onto the couch. The night of the accident, Mom came home late. Her car had a dent. Dad made some calls and everything just went away. My phone lights up again. Not Ryan this time, but Catherine. Put it on speaker, Lily says. Catherine's voice fills the room, raw and desperate. You think you know everything, don't you? But you have no idea what really happened that night. Then tell me. Your parents were going to destroy everything I'd built. They didn't understand the choices I had to make. What choices? Come alone to the school, the old building. I'll show you exactly what happened 25 years ago. The line goes dead. It's a trap, Lily says immediately. Obviously, I agree. But she's unraveling. This might be our only chance to get the truth. I'm calling Ryan, Ethan stands. No, I grab his arm. Your mother's spent decades building walls of lies. If Ryan shows up, she'll just construct another one. Then I'm coming with you, Mia insists. I shake my head. She'll only talk if I'm alone, but I need you to do something else. I outline my plan quickly, watching understanding dawn in their eyes. That's brilliant, Lily whispers, and terrifying. If I'm not back in 2 hours, we'll have everything ready, Mia promises. The drive to the old school building feels like entering another dimension. Catherine stands in the shadows of the entrance, looking smaller somehow, more fragile. I knew you'd come, she says. You're just like them, so righteous, so sure of your moral high ground. Show me. She leads me through dark hallways to the basement. Each step echoes with decades of secrets. Your parents found financial records, she says, voice distant. But they didn't understand. The money wasn't for me. It was for them. Them? The girls. The ones who needed help. Sandra helped arrange everything. Until she wanted more money, started making threats. My blood runs cold. What did you do to her? Catherine laughs, a broken sound. The same thing I did to your parents. The same thing I'll do to you if you don't back off. A door slams behind us. I spin around, heart pounding, but Catherine blocks the exit. You should have taken the hint, she says. Should have just walked away. Now I'll have to explain another tragic accident. Like you explained Sandra's disappearance? Ryan will understand. He always does. Will he understand this? I pull out my phone, the recording light blinking. Behind Catherine, shadows move in the darkness. Now, Mia. The basement floods with light. Ethan and Ryan step out of the shadows, phones raised, recording everything. Mia stands by the stairs, her tablet live streaming to the police. Catherine's face crumples. Ryan, I can explain, but Ryan's eyes are ice. I think you've explained enough, Mom. In the distance, sirens wail. The police interview room feels colder than the basement where Catherine tried to trap me. Detective Morris slides another crime scene photo across the table. My parents' mangled car at the bottom of the ravine. Mrs. Henderson maintains it was an accident, he says. Just like she maintains Sandra Chen moved to Oregon. And you believe her? He taps the photo. 25 years of believing doesn't make something true. My phone buzzes. Another message from Ryan. We need to talk, please. Your mother-in-law's political connections won't help her this time, Morris continues. But we need more than circumstantial evidence. What about the financial records? Disappeared, along with everything else from that period. I leave the station feeling hollow. Lily's waiting outside, laptop open. You need to see this. It's a video from Catherine's hearing. She sits perfectly poised, every inch the respected educator. These accusations are absolutely groundless, she tells the judge. Adriana has been unstable since losing her parents. She's fabricating these connections to process her grief. That manipulative... Wait, Lily says. Watch Ethan. Behind Catherine, Ethan shifts uncomfortably, touching his jacket pocket. The same nervous tic from childhood, when he was hiding something. He knows something, I breathe. Better. Lily zooms in. Look what's sticking out of his pocket. A flash of red. The corner of a notebook. My phone rings. Ethan. Don't answer, Lily warns. But I do. Hello? Meet me at the studio. Alone. His voice shakes. Mom doesn't know I kept it. The studio is dark when I arrive. Ethan paces between the yoga mats, jumping at shadows. Show me, I say. He pulls out a red notebook. Sandra's diary. She gave it to me for safekeeping, right before she left. I was just a kid. Didn't understand what it meant until now. I reach for it, but he pulls back. Wait, you need to know. This will destroy everything. Not just Mom, all of us. She killed our parents. And Ryan's father. His words hit like physical blows. The diary. It's all here. The money laundering, the girls she helped, Dad's threats to expose her. The accident that wasn't an accident. My phone buzzes again. Ryan. Always Ryan. He deserves to know, Ethan says. Like you deserve to know? All these years you kept this hidden. I was protecting my family. You were protecting a murderer. The studio door opens. Ryan stands there, face ashen. I heard everything. Ethan stumbles back. How long? Long enough. Ryan moves toward us. The diary. Now. Ryan, I start, but he cuts me off. You don't understand. None of you do. This goes deeper than Mom. What are you talking about? He pulls out his phone, shows us an email. Dad's old partner contacted me. There are people who'll pay to keep this quiet. Enough to set us all up for life. The world tilts sideways. You want to bury this? After everything she's done? I want us to be smart about this. He reaches for me. Think about it. The money, a fresh start. I step back. Our parents deserve justice. Your parents are dead, he snaps. Nothing will bring them back. But we're alive and we have choices. Ethan clutches the diary tighter. We can't. Can't what? Catherine's voice cuts through the darkness. She stands in the doorway, gun trained on the diary. Can't keep family secrets? Can't protect each other? Mom, Ryan breathes. What are you doing? What I've always done. Protecting this family. She steps forward. The diary, Ethan. Now. My phone buzzes one final time. A text from Mia. Police in position. Keep her talking. But as I look at Ryan's conflicted face, at Ethan's trembling hands, at Catherine's unwavering gun, I realize something terrible. I don't know whose side anyone is really on anymore, and the truth might destroy us all. The diary burns in the fireplace while Catherine keeps the gun trained on us. Each curling page takes my parents' justice with it, turning truth to ash. Ryan stands between us, his loyalty finally chosen. It's better this way, he says softly. A clean slate. My wedding ring feels like it's burning my finger. Clean for who? Everyone. Catherine's voice is steady now, confident. The money will be in your account by morning. Enough to start fresh somewhere else. You think you can buy my silence after confessing to murder? Confessing? She laughs. There's no evidence, dear, just the ravings of a troubled woman who's clearly having a mental breakdown. Ethan won't meet my eyes. His betrayal stings worse than Ryan's somehow. He had the truth all along, held on to it until it could be used as a bargaining chip. The police, I start, have nothing. Ryan cuts in. Mom's right, without the diary. My phone buzzes. Mia's message glows. Officers in position, give the signal. But what signal? What proof? I watch another page blacken and curl, taking Sandra's words with it. I've already called Dr. Warner, Catherine continues. He understands you're having episodes, delusions about your parents' accident. He's agreed to help. The implications hit me. You're going to have me committed? For your own good, Ryan says, reaching for my hand. Just until you're better. I jerk away. Don't touch me. See? Catherine sighs. Paranoid, aggressive, classic signs of a breakdown. My studio door opens. Dr. Warner enters with 2 orderlies. Everything's happening too fast. It's okay, Adriana, he says soothingly. We're here to help. This is insane. Mia knows. Your sister's worried about you too. Catherine interjects smoothly. She agrees you need help. My heart stops. What? She called me this morning. She's the one who suggested Dr. Warner. You're lying. But my phone buzzes again. Mia, I'm sorry. It's the only way to keep you safe. The orderlies move closer. Ryan steps aside, his face a mask of concerned betrayal that makes me want to scream. The police, I try again, have been informed of your condition. Dr. Warner says gently. Your recent accusations, the conspiracy theories, they understand. Catherine's smile is triumphant. Sometimes loving someone means protecting them from themselves. The orderlies reach for me. I dodge, but there's nowhere to go. The diary is ash, my allies have turned, and my own sister... Wait, I gasp. My phone, the recording... But Ryan holds up my phone, already factory reset. It's okay, honey. You don't need this right now. No. The word comes out broken as the orderlies grab my arms. You can't. 3 days of observation, Dr. Warner says. Then we'll evaluate. 3 days is plenty, Catherine adds, her meaning clear. Plenty of time to erase whatever's left of the truth. As they drag me toward the door, I lock eyes with Ethan. He looks away, but not before I see it. Guilt, yes, but something else. His hand touches his pocket again, that nervous tick. And suddenly I understand. The diary wasn't the only copy. But it doesn't matter now. The sedative enters my arm, and the world starts to blur. The last thing I see is Ryan's face, full of false concern, as Catherine puts her arm around him. It's for the best, she says, her voice fading. Sometimes family has to make hard choices. Family. The word follows me into darkness, bitter as ash. I thought I was fighting for justice, for truth. Instead, I've lost everything. My husband, my sister, my freedom. Catherine has won. turning everyone against me with a precision that would be admirable if it wasn't destroying my life. As consciousness slips away, one thought remains: Ethan's nervous tick, his pocket. Whatever he's hiding might be my last chance at truth. If I can survive the next 3 days with my sanity intact. The ambulance doors close. Through the window, I watch my studio recede, taking with it everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and justice. But Catherine taught me one thing. Sometimes the best revenge requires patience. And in 3 days, she'll learn just how well I've learned that lesson. If I survive that long. The psychiatric ward's fluorescent lights flicker as Lily helps me into street clothes. 3 days of forced observation have left me hollow, but clear-headed. Maybe too clear. Ethan's waiting in the car, she whispers. Catherine's at the country club for their annual charity gala. And Mia? Already there, with the proof. My hands shake as I button my blouse. You're sure about the USB drive? Ethan kept a digital copy of everything. Sandra's diary, the financial records, even Catherine's private emails about your parents. The ward door opens. Ryan stands there, looking uncertain. The doctor's signing your release papers. Don't, Lily starts, but I touch her arm. It's okay, give us a minute. When we're alone, Ryan steps closer. You look better. Amazing what 3 days of forced sedation can do. Adriana, Save it, you chose your side. His face hardens. I chose family. So did I. Understanding dawns in his eyes, but before he can speak, my phone buzzes. Mia's signal, the gala's starting. The country club ballroom glitters with false pretense. Catherine holds court near the podium, accepting congratulations for another successful fundraiser. When she sees me, her champagne glass freezes halfway to her lips. You're supposed to be committed? I move closer. Sorry to disappoint. Security, she starts, but I cut her off. Before you do that, you might want to look at the screens. Every monitor in the ballroom flickers to life. Sandra Chen's face appears, young and afraid, reading from her diary. Then financial records, photos, email threads. The truth, impossible to ignore. Catherine lunges for the podium microphone, but Mia's faster. Ladies and gentlemen, my sister's voice rings out. I think it's time we learned where last year's missing charity funds really went, and the year before, and about a young teaching assistant who knew too much. You don't understand, Catherine hisses at me. I protected those girls, gave them choices. Like you gave Sandra a choice, my parents? They were going to ruin everything. The crowd murmurs as more evidence fills the screens. Catherine's careful facade crumbles in real time. Turn it off, she demands, but no one moves. Ryan, do something. Ryan steps forward, but not to help her. Is it true about Dad? Your father was weak. He would have destroyed us all. Ethan emerges from the crowd, holding up his phone. I kept everything, Mom, every recording, every confession. You ungrateful. She reaches into her purse. The gun's gone, I tell her quietly. Detective Morris has it, along with your prints from the night my parents died. She backs away, looking for escape, but the crowd has become a wall. Years of manipulation and murder collapse into this single moment of exposure. I did it all for you, she tells Ryan. Everything. Always for you. No, he says. You did it for yourself. Police appear at the doorways. Catherine sees them and something breaks in her eyes. She turns to me, all pretense gone. You think this is justice? She snarls. You've destroyed your marriage, your family. You destroyed those things. I'm just bringing the truth to light. The truth? She laughs, high and broken. You want truth? Ryan's not my only secret child. Ask your sister why she really helped you. My head snaps toward Mia, who's gone pale. That's right, Catherine continues as the police move in. Sandra Chen didn't just disappear. She gave birth first, to a baby girl. Who better to help destroy me than another daughter I threw away? The handcuffs click around Catherine's wrists, but I barely hear the Miranda rights being read. I'm staring at Mia, my sister, my ally, my half-sister. She meets my eyes across the chaos, and in that moment I understand everything. Why she always knew more than she let on. Why she fought so hard to help me expose Catherine. I wanted to tell you, she whispers. The truth crashes over me. Not just justice served, but family redefined. As Catherine is led away, still spitting revelations like venom, I realize revenge wasn't the end I was seeking. It was understanding. And now, standing in the wreckage of exposed secrets, I have to decide what to rebuild from these ashes of truth. The courthouse steps feel colder than they should in spring. Catherine's sentencing ended hours ago, but I can't seem to leave. 25 years for my parents' deaths, plus Sandra's disappearance. Justice, they call it. But justice feels different than I imagined. Here, Mia appears beside me, offering coffee. My sister, Catherine's daughter. The truth still feels raw, even weeks later. Did you know? I ask. Before all this? I found Sandra's letters last year. She left them with my adoptive parents. She sits beside me. That's when I started watching Catherine, gathering evidence. You could have told me. Would you have believed that your sister was really your enemy's daughter? Her smile is sad. I barely believed it myself. Movement catches my eye. Ryan exits the courthouse, Ethan beside him. They pause when they see us, uncertainty hanging between us like smoke. The house sold, Ryan says finally. And the country club membership. Keep it, I tell him. I don't want anything from her. What about this? He holds out a familiar red notebook, the original diary. Found it in Mom's safe. There's more in here, about other children. My stomach turns. How many? Enough to keep the police busy. Ethan takes the notebook. I'll make sure it gets to Detective Morris. Ryan lingers. Adriana, Don't. I stand up. Some betrayals can't be undone. I was trying to protect your family, I know, but I was your family too. He flinches as if I'd struck him. Good. Let him feel something real for once. Lily pulls up in her car, right on time. Ready? I look at the scattered remains of what I once called family. Ryan, who chose loyalty over love. Ethan, finally finding his courage too late. And Mia, my sister in more ways than blood could ever define. The studio reopens tomorrow, I tell them. New name, new start. You're welcome to come, or not. What are you calling it? Ethan asks. Phoenix Rising Wellness, Mia answers for me. Because some things have to burn before they can be reborn. Ryan steps forward. Maybe someday. Someday is too far away. I cut him off. And not far enough. In Lily's car, I watch them shrink in the rearview mirror. 3 figures on courthouse steps, bound by secrets and sins they didn't commit. You never told them, did you? Lily asks quietly. About the other diary? I touch my bag where Sandra's second journal lies hidden, the one containing the names of powerful men who used Catherine's services over the years. My insurance policy, my last piece of leverage. Some truths serve better as shadows, I say, reminders that everyone has something to hide. And some truths set us free, Mia adds from the back seat. I think of Catherine in her prison cell, of Ryan in his empty house, of all the careful lies exposed to sunlight. But I also think of Mia, who chose truth over comfort, and Lily, who never wavered. The studio event tonight, Lily reminds me. Your first class back. You sure you're ready? I close my eyes, feeling the weight of Sandra's second diary, heavy with secrets that could destroy more lives. Revenge brought justice, but at what cost? And what would justice mean for those other names, those other crimes? I'm ready, I say, opening my eyes. But not for a yoga class. Mia leans forward. What then? A support group for survivors of family violence, people who need to tell their stories. Because that's the real power, isn't it? Not revenge, but revelation. Not destruction, but reconstruction. Building something new from the ashes of what burned. Sandra would have liked that, Mia says softly. The sun sets behind us as we drive, painting the sky in colors of fire and rebirth. I think of Catherine's final words in court. I regret nothing. But I do, and I don't, and somehow both are true. Tomorrow, I'll stand before a room of strangers and say, tell me your story. And in their truths, maybe I'll find the final pieces of my own. But for now, I let the sunset burn away the last shadows of what was, making space for what could be. Some phoenixes rise alone, but the strongest ones rise together.
The scent hit me first, a delicate mix of jasmine and something else I couldn't quite place. Not my perfume. Not anything I owned. It clung to Mason's dress shirt like an accusation, faint but unmistakable as I stood in our laundry room. Frozen with the fabric pressed against my face. I'm Trinity, and until this moment, I thought I knew exactly who I was, a devoted wife living what I believed was a charmed life with my husband of 8 years. But that unfamiliar fragrance changed everything. "Hey, what's taking so long with my shirts?" Mason called from upstairs. His voice carried that slight edge of impatience I'd grown accustomed to lately. "Just sorting colors," I answered, proud of how steady my voice remained. I dropped the shirt into the washer like it had burned me, then added extra detergent. Part of me wanted to obliterate that scent, while another part wanted to preserve it as evidence. "I need the blue one for tomorrow's meeting," he said, footsteps approaching. I quickly closed the washer lid and turned to face him. Mason filled the doorway, all 6 feet of him radiating the confidence that had first drawn me to him. His dark hair was slightly disheveled from running his hands through it, a habit when he was working late on his laptop. Which seemed to happen more and more these days. "The blue one's still at the cleaners," I lied, watching his face carefully. "I'll pick it up first thing tomorrow." He frowned, checking his phone. "You should have told me earlier. I needed that shirt." "Sorry," I said, the word tasting bitter. "I've been distracted lately." "Clearly." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, Jessica called. She's having some financial troubles and needs a place to stay for a while." My stomach clenched. His sister had always treated our home like her personal hotel, coming and going as she pleased. "For how long?" "However long she needs," Mason replied, his tone leaving no room for discussion. "She's family." Family. The word echoed in my head as he walked away. I waited until his footsteps faded before pulling out my phone and opening the banking app. Our joint account showed several recent restaurant charges at places I'd never been to, all during those late nights he claimed to be working. The washer hummed behind me, washing away evidence I should have photographed. But I knew that perfume would haunt me, a ghost of something I couldn't yet prove but felt in my bones to be true. I scrolled through our photos from last month's anniversary dinner. Mason's smile looked genuine as he raised his glass to 8 years together. Had he been lying even then? The Mason in that photo seemed like a stranger now, wearing a mask I'd somehow never noticed before. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. "Can't wait to catch up, sis. See you tomorrow." Face blowing a kiss. I stared at those cheerful emojis, remembering how she'd always sided with Mason during our rare arguments. How she'd laugh off my concerns about his late nights. "You're so paranoid, Trinity," she'd say. "Mason works hard for you both." The washer clicked into its spin cycle, and I made a decision. I opened my browser and typed, "How to track a cheating spouse." Then I deleted it and wrote instead, "Best private investigators in the area." Upstairs, Mason's voice drifted down as he took another call, speaking too softly for me to make out the words. But I didn't need to hear them. That perfume had already told me everything I needed to know. The question now wasn't whether my husband was faithful, it was what I planned to do about it. I saved 3 investigator numbers in my phone under innocuous names: yoga studio, book club, and dentist. Tomorrow, I'd start making calls. But tonight, I had to prepare for Jessica's arrival and pretend everything was normal. I was getting good at pretending lately. Maybe too good. The washer beeped its cycle complete. I transferred the clothes to the dryer, handling that blue shirt last. The perfume was gone now, but its memory lingered like a promise of things to come. Jessica arrived like a hurricane, 3 designer suitcases trailing behind her as she swept through our front door. Mason carried them upstairs while she collapsed onto our couch, her perfectly manicured hand draped across her forehead. "You wouldn't believe the nightmare I've been through," she sighed. "My landlord is such a monster. Who evicts someone just because they're a few months behind on rent?" I busied myself in the kitchen, gripping the edge of the counter. "How many months exactly?" "Oh, who keeps track of these things?" Jessica waved dismissively. "Mason said I could stay as long as I need." "You don't mind, right, Trinity?" The knife clicked against the cutting board as I chopped vegetables for dinner. Each slice felt deliberate, therapeutic. "Of course not. Your family." Mason returned, immediately gravitating toward his sister. "I put you in the guest room overlooking the garden. Best view in the house. You're the best brother ever, Jessica cooed. Then, eyeing my cooking preparations, oh, are we eating in? I was hoping we could try that new bistro downtown. The one you mentioned, Mason? My knife paused mid-chop. Which bistro was that? Just some place near the office, Mason answered quickly. Nothing special. Jessica's eyes widened slightly before she covered with a laugh. Well, anywhere's better than cooking at home. No offense, Trinity. None taken. I scraped the vegetables into the trash. Let me change. Upstairs, I called the first investigator on my list, speaking in hushed tones. How soon can you start surveillance? We can begin tomorrow, the woman replied. But it's not cheap. I glanced at my personal savings account, the one Mason didn't know about. That won't be a problem. At the bistro, I watched Mason and Jessica share private jokes and meaningful glances. They'd always been close, but something felt different now. When the waiter arrived, Mason ordered without consulting me. The usual for me, he said, then added, and my wife will have the salmon. Actually, I interrupted, I'll have the steak. Rare. Jessica's perfectly plucked eyebrows rose. Since when do you eat red meat? People change. I met her gaze steadily. Sometimes they're not who we think they are at all. Mason's phone buzzed. He checked it under the table, his expression shifting subtly before he excused himself. Work emergency. Won't be long. As soon as he was out of earshot, Jessica leaned forward. What's going on with you lately? Mason says you've been acting strange. Does he? I took a slow sip of wine. And what else does Mason tell you? He's worried about you. We both are. Her concern would have seemed genuine if I hadn't noticed her eyes darting toward the direction Mason had gone. You seem different. Different how? Suspicious. Defensive. She reached across the table to pat my hand. I resisted the urge to pull away. Mason works so hard for you. You should be grateful. Grateful, I repeated, the word tasting like ash. Through the restaurant's window, I caught a glimpse of Mason outside, his phone pressed to his ear, smiling in a way he hadn't smiled at me in months. Yes, grateful. Do you know how many women would kill to have a husband like him? I watched as Mason paced, running his fingers through his hair, his tell when he was excited about something. Or someone. I'm starting to wonder if they already do. Jessica's face hardened for a moment, before smoothing back into concerned sister-in-law mode. What's that supposed to mean? Before I could respond, Mason returned, tucking his phone away. Sorry about that. Where were we? Just girl talk, Jessica chirped, but her eyes held a warning when they met mine. I smiled and raised my glass. To family, I said. And all their little secrets. Mason's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Jessica's laugh came a beat too late. And in that moment, watching them both squirm, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt was still there, but now it had company, a cold, calculating clarity about what needed to be done. The investigator would start tomorrow. But tonight, I had a front-row seat to their performance, and I intended to study every act. The investigator's photos arrived in my encrypted email at 3 a.m. My hands trembled as I scrolled through them on my phone, each image a knife twisting deeper. Mason and a woman, tall, elegant, confident, sharing intimate moments outside an upscale apartment building. His hand on her lower back. Their faces close, laughing. A kiss that looked anything but casual. I zoomed in on her face. She was beautiful in a way that made my chest ache, not because of her looks, but because of how happy Mason looked beside her. I hadn't seen that expression on his face in years. Can't sleep? Jessica's voice made me jump. She stood in the kitchen doorway, wrapped in an expensive silk robe. I locked my phone. Just checking work emails. At 3 a.m? She opened the fridge, the light casting harsh shadows across her face. Mason mentioned you've been acting strange lately. distant. Did he? I kept my voice neutral. When was this? Earlier today, while you were at the gym. Jessica poured herself water, studying me over the rim of her glass. He's worried about you. The lie settled between us like poison. I'd never left for the gym. I'd been following Mason to his other life, watching him play house with the woman I now knew was named Avery Thompson. According to the investigator's report. How thoughtful of him to notice, I said. Jessica set down her glass with deliberate care. He notices more than you think. I'm sure he does. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. Especially at that bistro downtown. Her expression flickered. What do you mean? Nothing. Just thinking out loud. I headed for the stairs, then paused. Jessica? How long have you known about Avery? The glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. In the silence that followed, her face told me everything I needed to know. Trinity, I don't. My voice came out steady, surprising us both. Just clean up your mess. You're good at covering things up, aren't you? The next morning, I waited until Mason left for work before following him again. This time, I watched him enter a coffee shop where Avery waited. Through the window, I saw him slide into the booth beside her, not across from her. Intimate. Familiar. My phone buzzed, a text from Jessica, "We need to talk." I ignored it, watching as Mason pulled out a small jewelry box. Avery's face lit up as she opened it, and even from across the street, I could see the diamond catch the light. My own wedding ring felt like it was burning my finger. Another text, "Please, Trinity. It's not what you think." I switched off my phone and walked into the coffee shop. The bell above the door chimed cheerfully as I approached their table. Mason's back was to me, but I saw the exact moment Avery noticed me, her smile faltering, her eyes widening in recognition. "Hello, Mason," I said. He froze, then turned slowly. The color drained from his face as he looked between Avery and me. "Trinity? What are you doing here?" I smiled at Avery, who was staring at my wedding ring. I thought it was time I met the woman my husband's been having dinner with at that bistro downtown. The one Jessica's been helping him cover up. "Mason?" Avery's voice shook. "What is she talking about?" He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Avery, I can explain." "Explain what?" I cut in. "How you've been living two lives. Or how your sister's been helping you juggle them?" The jewelry box sat open between them, the diamond ring inside catching the light just like my wedding ring had 8 years ago. The symmetry would have been poetic if it wasn't so painful. "Trinity, please," Mason started, but I was already turning away. "Enjoy your coffee," I said. "And Avery? That ring?" He gave me the same one. Down to the cut and setting. He's not just a cheater, he's an unoriginal one. I walked out, leaving chaos in my wake. Through the window, I saw Avery stand up, tears streaming down her face. Mason reached for her, but she jerked away, grabbing her purse and rushing past me outside. My phone had 7 missed calls from Jessica. I turned it back on and texted her one word, "Checkmate." My parents' house looked exactly as it had when I left 8 years ago, right down to the crooked welcome mat I now stood on. Finger hovering over the doorbell. Before I could press it, Mom opened the door. "I saw you from the window 10 minutes ago," she said, pulling me into a hug. "How long were you planning to stand there?" The familiar scent of her lavender perfume broke something inside me. My shoulders shook as she held me tighter, not asking questions, just waiting. Dad appeared in the hallway, his reading glasses perched on his head. "Who's at the Trinity?" His expression shifted from surprise to concern. "What did he do?" I followed them into the kitchen, where Mom's half-finished crossword puzzle sat next to a cooling cup of tea. Such normal things. My life had stopped feeling normal the moment I found that perfume on Mason's shirt. "You should see your face when we mention him," Dad said quietly. Like you're bracing for impact. I placed the manila envelope from the investigator on their kitchen table. Mom reached for it, but I caught her hand. Are you sure you want to see? She squared her shoulders. If you're strong enough to live it, we're strong enough to know it. The photos spilled across their floral tablecloth. Mason and Avery's documented affair laid bare. Mom's hand flew to her mouth when she saw the jewelry box picture. Dad's face darkened with each image. Jessica knew, I said. She's been covering for him. Living in our house, watching me search for answers she had all along. That little, Dad started, but Mom touched his arm. What do you need from us, sweetheart? The question caught me off guard. Everyone else had told me what to do, how to feel. Mason with his gaslighting, Jessica with her dismissive concern, even the investigator with her professional advice about gathering evidence. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to burn everything down. Show everyone what he really is. But another part wants to protect him still, Mom finished. Because that's who you are. A protector. I don't want to be that person anymore. Dad gathered the photos, stacking them precisely. Then don't be. But choose who you become next carefully. Revenge might feel good now, but it burns both ways. My phone buzzed, Avery's number. The investigator had included it in her report, but I hadn't expected her to contact me. The text read, "Can we meet? There's more you need to know." She's reaching out, I showed them the message. Mason's other. I don't even know what to call her. Victim? Accomplice? Fellow survivor, Mom suggested. Maybe you both need answers. Or maybe it's a trap, Dad countered. Mason finding another way to manipulate you. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. What if it's both? What if everything's both now, truth and lies, justice and revenge? Mom reached across the table, her wedding ring catching the light, 40 years of faithful marriage glinting against my 8 years of lies. Then you choose your truth. Your justice. Not what Mason deserves, but what you need to heal. My phone buzzed again. Jessica, Mason's telling everyone you're having a mental breakdown. Please come home before you do something you'll regret. The threat was clear, wrapped in concern like all their manipulations. But sitting in my parents' kitchen, surrounded by genuine love and support, the message lost its power to wound. I typed back, "You're right. I am coming home. And I'm bringing the truth with me." To Avery, I wrote, "Tomorrow. 2 p.m. You pick the place. Are you sure about this?" Dad asked, watching me gather the photos. No, I admitted. But I'm sure about one thing, I'm done being the only one carrying these secrets. Mom hugged me again at the door, slipping something into my pocket. Later, in my car, I found her old house key on a new keychain. The message was clear, I had a safe place to land when everything exploded. And things were about to explode. Mason and Jessica had written this story for years. Now it was my turn, and I was choosing a different ending. Avery chose a small cafe across town, far from Mason's usual haunts. I arrived early, watching her through the window as she settled into a corner booth. She looked different now, less polished, more real. The engagement ring was gone. "I brought something you should see," she said as I sat down, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were bank statements, property records, and what looked like business contracts. Mason isn't just lying about his relationships. My coffee arrived, but I couldn't take my eyes off the documents. Numbers jumped out at me, large transfers, hidden accounts, properties I'd never heard of. How did you get these? I'm a financial analyst. When things didn't add up, I started digging. Avery's hands trembled slightly as she pointed to specific transactions. He's been moving money around, creating shell companies. Your signature is on some of these documents. No, it's not. Then I saw it. My signature, perfect in every detail, on papers I'd never seen. He forged these? With Jessica's help. She's not just his sister, she's his business partner. The cafe's warmth suddenly felt stifling. Every memory of Jessica's financial troubles took on a new, darker meaning. They're using my identity for fraud. Among other things. Avery glanced around before lowering her voice. There's more. I found evidence they've done this before, with other women. It's their pattern. My phone buzzed, Mason asking where I was. I ignored it. Why are you showing me this? Because I'm their next target. The engagement, the joint venture proposals, it's all part of their scheme. She pulled out one final document. And because yesterday, I found this. It was a life insurance policy in my name, recently updated. The beneficiary had been changed to Mason, and the coverage amount had tripled. They're planning something, Avery said. Something big. And soon. I stood up abruptly, needing air. Outside, the afternoon sun felt too bright, too normal, for the darkness spreading through my thoughts. Avery followed. Trinity, wait. We need to. To what? Go to the police? Tell them my husband and his sister are running some elaborate con? That they might be. I couldn't finish the sentence. We have evidence now. Real evidence. Another text from Mason, Jessica says you took some files from my office. We need to talk. I showed Avery the message. They know. Then we don't have much time. She handed me a business card. My brother's a lawyer specializing in financial fraud. He can help, but we need to move fast. I thought of my packed suitcase hidden in my parents' garage, the emergency cash, the escape plan I'd been crafting. It wasn't enough anymore. This wasn't just about infidelity or betrayal, it was about survival. I have to go home, I said. Get something from the house before they realize what we know. That's exactly what they want. Trinity, it's not safe. Nothing's safe anymore. I started walking to my car. But I'm done being their victim. At least let me help. I can. No. I turned back to her. Stay away from the house. If I'm not in touch by tonight, give everything to your brother. Everything. The drive home felt surreal. 8 years of marriage dissolving into a criminal conspiracy. Every loving gesture, every family moment with Jessica, had any of it been real? Mason's car was in the driveway when I arrived. Jessica's too. They were waiting for me, probably with another perfectly crafted lie, another manipulation. But I had something they didn't know about, the truth. I touched my mother's key in my pocket, thinking of her words about choosing my own justice. Then I checked that the recording app on my phone was running and walked into my house for what I knew would be the last time. There you are, Mason called from the living room. We'd been worried sick. I closed the door behind me, hearing the click like a gunshot. Have you? How thoughtful of you both. It was time to see who would break first. Mason and Jessica sat in our living room like royalty holding court. The same room where we'd celebrated holidays, shared dreams, built what I thought was a family. Now it felt like a trap closing in. You've been acting erratic, Mason said, his voice carrying that concerned tone he used when manipulating clients. We're worried about your mental state. I placed Avery's folder on the coffee table between us. Worried I'd find these? Jessica's perfectly manicured nails dug into the armrest. Mason didn't move, but something flickered behind his eyes. Where did you get those? He asked softly. Does it matter? What matters is what they show. I pulled out the life insurance policy. Planning for my unfortunate accident, Mason? He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. Honey, you're not well. Those documents are standard business practices. Jessica can explain. Like she explained her financial troubles? I turned to his sister. How many other women have you helped him destroy? Jessica stood abruptly. You ungrateful bitch. Everything we did was for this family. Family? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. Is that what you call your little criminal enterprise? Mason moved then, quick as a snake, snatching the folder. You've been talking to Avery. She's smarter than you gave her credit for. We both are. He leafed through the documents, his mask slipping with each page. These are copies. The originals are safe. Along with everything else I've gathered. Jessica's phone buzzed. She checked it, her face paling. Mason, we have a problem. The Thompson account. Shut up, he snapped, then softened his voice. Trinity, sweetheart, you're confused. Let's talk about this rationally. He reached for me, but I stepped back. Don't touch me. Or what? His tone changed completely, ice replacing concern. You'll run to the police? Tell them your crazy conspiracy theories? Who do you think they'll believe, the respected businessman or his unstable wife? They'll believe the evidence. What evidence? Jessica held up my phone, she must have grabbed it when I was focused on Mason. This recording? Oops. She dropped it into her water glass. I watched my safety net short-circuit and die. You should have stayed ignorant, Mason said, almost sadly. It would have been easier. For who? For everyone. He pulled out his own phone. Now we have to do this the hard way. The front door opened. 2 men in uniforms entered, private security, not police. I recognized their company logo from one of Mason's shell corporations. Mrs. Walker has been experiencing severe paranoid delusions, Mason told them, his voice professional and concerned. She needs specialized care. No. I backed away, but Jessica blocked my path to the stairs. You can't do this. We already have, she smirked. The papers are all signed, by you, remember? My forged signature. On medical papers I'd never seen. Giving him power over my freedom. The facility is very discreet, Mason said as the men approached. You'll get all the help you need. I looked at the husband I'd loved, the sister-in-law I'd trusted, seeing strangers wearing familiar faces. Everything had been a lie, right from the start. You won't get away with this, I said, but my voice shook. Mason smiled, that same charming smile that had won me 8 years ago. I already have. Multiple times. The security men reached for my arms. I fought, but they were too strong. Through my struggles, I saw Jessica picking up the scattered documents, erasing the evidence of their crimes. It's for the best, Mason said as they dragged me toward the door. In time, you'll understand. My last sight was Jessica's triumphant smirk as she dropped the folders into the fireplace. Everything I'd gathered, burning away like my future. But they didn't know about Avery's copies. Or the email I'd scheduled to send to her brother if I didn't check in by midnight. As they forced me into their waiting car, I held on to that thought like a lifeline. They'd won this battle. But the war wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The private facility's white walls closed in around me as I waited in the consultation room, my hands folded in my lap like a good, docile patient. 3 days of playing along, swallowing sugar pills, nodding at patronizing doctors who believed Mason's lies. The door opened. Mason entered, immaculate in his business suit, followed by Jessica. Their confidence faltered when they saw Avery sitting beside me. What is she doing here? Jessica demanded. Visiting hours are for family only, Mason said smoothly, reaching for the call button. Don't bother, Avery said. The staff are rather busy dealing with federal agents right now. The color drained from Mason's face. Jessica grabbed her brother's arm. You're bluffing, she said, but her voice trembled. I stood, steady on my feet despite the sedatives they'd tried forcing on me. The FBI doesn't bluff about wire fraud, identity theft, and attempted murder. Murder? Mason laughed, but his eyes darted to the door. You're delusional. That's why you're here. That's why you put me here, I corrected. But I wasn't the first, was I? Tell me, what happened to Catherine Porter? He flinched at the name. Jessica's perfectly manicured nails dug into his arm. She had an accident, Jessica said quickly. Everyone knows that. Like I was supposed to have an accident? I pulled out my phone, my real phone, not the one they destroyed. The FBI has been very interested in the pattern. Young women, married to Mason, diagnosed as unstable, then tragic accidents following massive insurance payouts. Mason's mask cracked. You can't prove anything. Actually, she can. Avery stepped forward, her own phone recording. Your sister talks in her sleep, Mason. Has for years. Remember those sleepovers when we were roommates, Jessica? I recorded everything. Jessica's face contorted. You bitch. She lunged at Avery, but I stepped between them. It's over. The FBI has everything, the forged documents, the offshore accounts, Jessica's confessions. Even Catherine's real autopsy report. You're lying, Mason whispered, but uncertainty crept into his voice. Am I? I moved closer, seeing fear replace confidence in his eyes. Check your phone. The Thompson account isn't the only one frozen. Everything's gone, Mason. Everything. His phone buzzed. He checked it, hands shaking. Jessica peered over his shoulder, her face crumpling. No, she breathed. No, no, no. Yes, Avery said. Your empire's falling, and we made sure everyone knows why. Your investors, your clients, your other potential victims, they all received very detailed emails an hour ago. Mason's composure shattered. He grabbed my throat, slamming me against the wall. You destroyed everything. Mason, don't. Jessica screamed, but Avery was already moving, her taser connecting with his side. He crumpled, twitching. The door burst open. FBI agents poured in, weapons drawn. Jessica tried to run, but didn't make it 2 steps. As they read Mason his rights, he stared at me with pure hatred. You'll never prove it, he spat. You're just a crazy woman. My unstable wife. I knelt beside him, speaking softly so only he could hear. That's where you're wrong. I'm not your wife anymore. The divorce papers were filed last week. You're not my problem, you're the FBI's problem now. And mine, Avery added, showing her badge. Did Mason ever mention I worked white-collar crimes before becoming a financial analyst? No? Guess he wasn't the only one living a double life. Jessica screamed obscenities as they led her away. Mason remained silent, his perfect facade finally shattered. Before they took him, he looked back at me one last time. I loved you once, he said. No, I replied. You loved what you could take from me. There's a difference. The agents led them both away, leaving me with Avery in the suddenly quiet room. You okay? She asked. I touched my throat where Mason's fingers had left marks, feeling nothing but relief. I will be. What happens now? Now? She smiled. Now we make sure they never hurt anyone else again. I walked out of the facility into bright sunlight, leaving behind the remnants of Mason's carefully constructed lies. The truth had finally set me free. The courthouse steps felt colder than I remembered from the preliminary hearings. Mason and Jessica's sentencing had drawn a crowd, former clients, journalists, and other victims who'd come forward after the story broke. Catherine Porter's mother clutched my hand as we waited. I never thought we'd see justice, she whispered. For 8 years, I knew he killed her. I squeezed her hand back, remembering the perfume on Mason's shirt that started everything. Such a small detail that unraveled such an elaborate web of lies. The doors opened. Reporters surged forward as Mason and Jessica emerged in handcuffs. Their designer clothes were gone, replaced by prison orange that made Jessica's face look sallow. Mason's eyes found mine in the crowd, but his manipulative charm had vanished. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. 25 years, Avery said beside me, her FBI badge catching the morning light. No possibility of parole. Jessica stumbled on the steps. No one moved to help her. The sister-in-law who'd once commanded every room with entitled confidence now couldn't meet anyone's gaze. "Trinity!" Mason called out as they led him toward the prison transport. "It didn't have to end this way." I didn't respond. He'd lost the power to compel my attention, my reactions, my anything. Instead, I turned to Catherine's mother. "Would you like to get coffee? I think we have stories to share." Later, in a quiet cafe, I sorted through the last of Mason's papers. Our house had sold quickly once the scandal broke. Most of the money went to his victims' families, which felt right. I kept only what I'd brought into the marriage and the evidence of his crimes. "You never told me," Avery said, sliding into the booth. "How did you know I was FBI?" "I didn't." I smiled, remembering her perfect timing at the facility. "I just knew you weren't what Mason thought you were." "None of us were." Speaking of unexpected things. She pulled out a folder, similar to the one that had started all this. We found more accounts. Offshore holdings, shell companies. He was worse than we thought. No, I closed the folder without looking. He was exactly what I thought he was, in the end. A lie trying to look like love. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother asking about dinner. The key she'd given me still hung on my keychain, but I hadn't needed it. I'd found my own way home. "The media wants interviews," Avery mentioned. "Your story could help other women recognize the signs." "Maybe someday." I stood, gathering my things. "But right now, I want to focus on recognizing myself again." Outside, autumn leaves skittered across the courthouse steps where justice had finally been served. Catherine's mother had cried when Mason was sentenced, but I hadn't. My tears had dried up somewhere between finding that perfume and discovering the truth about his other victims. "Trinity?" Avery called as I reached my car. "There's something else." "Another case, similar pattern. We could use your insight." I paused, key in the ignition. Part of me wanted to drive away, leave all this behind. But another part remembered how alone I'd felt before finding Catherine's story, before connecting the dots that led to other victims. "Send me the files," I said. "But not today. Today I'm having dinner with my parents." She nodded, understanding. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of the prison transport in my rearview mirror, carrying Mason and Jessica to their new life. I didn't watch it disappear. My phone buzzed again, a group text from the victims' support network we'd formed. Women sharing stories, warnings, triumph. Some seeking revenge, others justice, all finding strength in breaking their silence. I turned toward my parents' house, where dinner and normal conversation waited. The weight of Mason's betrayal had lifted, replaced by something unexpected, not just survival or revenge or even justice, but a quiet certainty that I could trust myself again. Sometimes that's the best revenge of all.